Good morning. This is the Board of Appeals, Town of Hempstead, April 9th, 2025, 9:30 meeting. Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Chairman, do you have any opening remarks?
I do, but only if there is someone in the audience who hasn't been here before. Is there anyone who has not appeared before us? Then oh, too bad. Okay. So the manner in which we conduct our hearings, good morning, is as follows. First, we call the calendar and we give preference to any cases that are going to be adjourned. After that, we'll call the regular calendar and we'll start with renewals and then move on to the cases. In the event there is any opposition on any of the cases, the applicant presents the case first. The opposition will then be given the opportunity to voice their objections, and we will close the case by having the applicant or their representative sum up. All the proceedings are archived, they're videotaped. We have a court reporter, so if anyone would like to look at them in the future, you're free to do so. We accept any kind of evidence. We're not constrained by the strict rules of evidence. It's not a court of law. It's an administrative body. As such, we will accept letters and other types of evidence that might not be acceptable in a court of law. All right? Can you start calling the calendar, Patrick? Are there any requests for adjournment?
No.
Okay.
First, we have case 14925, Levittown.
Thank you.
Levittown Chamber of Commerce, amusement ride special event, duration May 22nd, 2025 through May 26th, 2025. Northeast corner, Hempstead Turnpike and Division Avenue, also known as Town of Hempstead Parking Lot, L2.
Okay. We have two amusement cases. Three. Mr. Pavone has become the expert.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Richard M. Bavone, 308 East Meadow Avenue, East Meadow, hearing as the agent for the Levittown Chamber of Commerce, requesting a special event in Town of Hempstead Parking Lot L2. Is this on? Okay. To the left of me is Tara Casano from the Levittown Chamber of Commerce. If approved, the days of operation will be as follows. Thursday, May 22nd. We're going to make a change from what we submitted on the application from 5 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Thursday to end at 10 p.m. And we'll make the same change on Friday, the 23rd, from 5 p.m. to 4 p.m. to start and end at 11 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, the 24th and the 25th, will be 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. And Monday, the 26th, will be 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. All music on days that are later than 10 p.m. will cease at 10. Sanitation has been requested by the Town of Hempstead Sanitation Department, also managed by Dreamland Amusement and the Chamber of Commerce. There will be approximately 18 to 24 rides for this event. Town Board Resolution 1572025 was issued by the Town Board for permission to use the Town of Hempstead Parking Lot L2. NCPD has emailed the event promoter in reference to them reviewing it and having no objection to having this event. All food services that are being provided, those vendors will file an application with Nassau County Board of Health. Prior to the event starting, New York State Department of Labor inspects the rides for safety. There will be no alcohol served at this event. This is the 25th year that the Levittown Chamber of Commerce is having this event. That's my case.
Well done.
You've done this a few times, Mr. Rickles.
Just a few. All right, any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I have a motion, file 149-25 special event, Levittown Chamber of Commerce, be granted from the bench.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Have a wonderful celebration, folks.
Thank you very much.
Who's next? Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, yeah. Okay, we'll take it.
Next, we have case 15325, Levittown, Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, amusement rides, special event, duration April 11th, 2025 through April 13th, 2025, south side of Hempstead Turnpike, 100.32 feet west of Ranch Lane, running through to Bayberry Lane, also known as Church Parking Lot.
That's funny.
State your name and address for the record.
Mine's upside down.
Should we start?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Bone, go ahead.
Gail George,
Address.
18 Trumpet Lane, Levittown, New York.
Good morning.
Again, Richard M. Bavone, appearing as the agent for the event, Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. My address is 308 East Meadow Avenue, East Meadow. The location is 3434 Hempstead Turnpike in Levittown. Pastor Remo Matson cannot be here today. He's actually out of the country. And Gail George is seated to the left of me, which is representing the church.
Thank you.
This is a special event, will be held Friday, April 11, 2025 to Sunday, April 13, 2025. If approved, the hours of operation will be as follows. Friday, the 11th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday, the 12th, which will be 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday, the 13th, will be 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. There will be approximately 9 rides. All music will cease at 10 p.m. Each evening. The chamber members will manage sanitation to maintain the property as required. Newton Shows will be administering the rides and the event. Newton Shows will also manage security. All food services will be, any vendor that's there will secure the proper permit from the Nassau County Board of Health. NCPD issued an email yesterday, which I uploaded to the portal, indicating that they have no objection to this event moving forward. All rides are inspected by New York State Department of Labor prior to the event starting. There will be no alcohol served at this event. Also, we had a neighbor, Mr. Robert Vey, from 67 Amber Lane, which wrote a letter to the board in objection. We had a meeting with Mr. Vey on April 21st. Correction, it would be March of 21st. And we had the meeting at the church. We discussed all of his concerns about noise, about the placement of where the rides were, and he was quite reasonable to work with the church and had no objection, actually wrote a second letter into the board indicating that he was withdrawing his objection. He has the telephone numbers of the pastor to Ms. George, myself, and to be able to email us or call us to be able to talk to us if there is an issue. When they actually were setting up the rides, bringing the actual trucks in, he did comment, and the ride promoter is complying with what his requests are. So
And
they
for
are
the-
working with the neighbor to make sure that this event goes very well.
Okay, and for the record, Mr. Bavone, the file does include both his initial opposition and his subsequent withdrawal of that opposition with big red felt letters. So we do have both of those items. Did you say that Newton was doing this security also?
Yes.
And are there people wearing shirts that indicate as such?
That I'm not aware of what they wear, but routinely the actual promoter will have people there to maintain security because of the policy of the town of Hempstead wanting to have some group there separate than just the chamber or the event, the actual entity itself.
Yeah, usually in these instances, they'll all have a red T-shirt with white security on or yellow. That's what we've seen in the past, just so that people are aware security is present. Sometimes that's helpful, but, okay. Other than that, is there anything else you wish to add, Mr. Bavone?
No.
would it be possible to ask Newton to have those individuals wear something that gives lets the basic public know?
Yes,
Security's present, and also if they need help, that's someone they can go to?
yes, that
Okay.
will be handled.
I appreciate that. Okay, if there are no other questions from the board, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, 15325, Levittown Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, move from the bench.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Have a wonderful celebration.
Thank you
folks.
very much.
You got the next one too, Mr. Bavone?
Yes, yes, and then I'm done.
Well, that's because that's the last one.
Next, we have case 130825 through 130925, Merrick Chamber of Commerce Incorporated, amusement rides, special event, duration April 25th, 2025 through April 27th, 2025, amusement rides, special event, duration October 24th, 2025 through October 26th, 2005, northwest corner, Sunrise Highway and Merrick Avenue, also known as Town of Hempstead Parking Lot, M5.
This. The top one?
Good morning. I'm Matthew Kreider at 1957 Miller Place in Merrick.
Morning.
Morning, Chairman, members of the board, Richard M. Bavone, 308 East Meadow Avenue, East Meadow, appearing as the agent for the Merrick Chamber of Commerce, requesting a spring and fall events for the year 2025 in the same parking lot, Town of Hempstead, M5, Sunrise Highway, and Merrick Avenue, respectfully requesting both cases 1308 and 1309 heard as one.
So we'll grant that.
And again, to the left of me is Matthew Kreider, he's board member of the Merrick Chamber of Commerce. If approved, the days of operation will be as follows. We'll start with the spring event, Friday the 25th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday the 26th, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday the 27th, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. The fall event, Friday, October 24th, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday the 25th, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday the 26th at 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Total of 12 rides for the event. The Nassau County First Precinct issued a letter for both events. That letter is in the folder. It's dated March 13, 2025, indicating that they have no objection to the event moving forward. Town Board issued 2 resolutions approving the use of town parking lot M5 TBR number 212, 2025 for the spring event, and TBR 213, 2025 for the fall event. Newton Shows is managing both events. There will be no alcohol served at the event. Food services and sanitation will both be handled by Board of Health for food services, sanitation by Newton Shows, and also Town of Hempstead Sanitation, which were notified. Newton Shows manages security. All music will cease at 10 p.m. And again, prior to the event starting, New York State Department of Labor inspects all rides for safety. We're respectfully requesting an approval.
Just a question, Mr. Bavone. I've never seen an application for 2 events.
Yes, I've routinely.
You've done that before?
Oh, I don't
Yes, I've done it
remember
many
it.
times.
I don't
every
remember
year,
it.
actually.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Obviates the necessity of your coming back in the fall.
So, and because we know that we have to file these earlier to get them done, we made sure that, other than the second application I had.
You
was
filed it
in
very
time.
early,
I don't know.
Yes.
very early.
Mr. Bavone, why, if you don't mind, just for my edification, what changed that you have to file them earlier to get them done?
It takes,
We did.
we notify the special event, every one of the entities that we have been doing for many years, actually the year before, say we'd like to have all of the paperwork as soon as possible, knowing that it does take a few months to get to the calendar, and it always ends up being last minute.
Well, I recall on a number of occasions that you were here for events
They were
the
having that
day
day.
or 2 before the event was to take place.
We were trying to manage expectations as best as possible.
Well, that's a welcome change. Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I move to approve case 1308 to 1309 of 25 in Merrick Chamber of Commerce, located on the northwest corner of Sunrise Highway and Merrick Avenue, as requested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very
Okay.
much and have a great day.
Have a great celebration.
Yep.
Next, we have cases 15025 through 15225, near Island Park, Austin Realty Corporation. Renewal of grants, maintain drive-through window in conjunction with Starbucks Coffee Shop, maintain dumpster with enclosure within clear sight triangle, maintain off-street parking and permission to park in front yard setback on Austin Boulevard, California Place South, and Iowa Place, also known as 4507 Austin Boulevard.
My name is Jay Russo. I'm at 208 Regent Drive, Lido Beach, New York, 11561.
Mr. Russo, would you mind approaching for a second before you? Yeah. Yeah.
We'll go back to your seat and we'll close it up. Hey, Stephanie, okay. So Stephanie, let the record reflect that the applicant discussed with the members of the board a couple of issues raised by some neighbors related to the shed on the premises and an additional dumpster that's not enclosed. The applicant is going to take, who's the landlord of the property, is going to take steps necessary to either remove those items or to legalize the shed and the additional dumpster. So we are going to adjourn the case now for a period of about 3 months to give him time to take care of those items. What do we have, Patrick?
July 2nd,
Okay, what time?
11 a.m.
Okay, July 2nd, 11 a.m. Anyone else here on the case? There will be no further notice of it. Well, unless there are additional variances, right? If there are additional variances, so you're going to get the application filed via the process that Ms. First indicated. When that gets down here, when you're finished in the building department and your file gets sent to the zoning board, you're going to reach out to Mr. Owens to figure out how to get that consolidated with this case that's on adjournment so that we can get you in here and finalize your renewals on those and whatever else needs to happen related to those items brought up by the members of the neighborhood. Okay? Thank you. Oh, Patrick, did you give us a time on that? Okay. Did you get the time, sir?
Yes,
That's-
July 2nd, 11 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case. Okay. Next, we have case 15425 through 15525, Woodmere, Ala Kleben. Variance rear yard, construct second-story addition, partially open below attached to dwelling. Special exception to maintain shed not permitted in the side yard, also known as 816 Kearney Drive.
Jean Kennedy Stevens, 124 Haley Drive, Center Moriches, New York, 11934.
Good morning, Mrs. Kennedy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Mr. and Mrs. Alan Cleven of 816 Kearney Drive, North Woodmere, 11581, Section 39, Block 549, Lot 58, in a residential B zone, is requesting a variance approval to construct a new second-story addition, partially open below, attached to the dwelling, which will be maintaining a 17.5 rear yard setback when 25 is required, creating a 7.5-foot encroachment into the northwest rear corner of the yard. Also requesting special exceptions to maintain an 8x12 shed not permitted in the side yard. Mr. and Mrs. Cleven have lived in their homes since 2021 and have 2 children. One is 12, the other is 17 years old. They are proposing adding on a second-story addition, which will cantilever over the first floor in the rear yard of the house by 6.6 inches to allow, to align with the first-story kitchen bump out. As you can see from the plot plans, the property is angled along the rear yard, which is creating the encroachment into the rear yard. The second-story addition is being added onto the house for Mrs. Cleven's elderly mom, who is now going to come and live with them and occupy the existing master bedroom. And Mrs. Cleven is going to officially be considered her permanent caregiver. Special exception is being requested to allow an 8x12 shed that is 96 square feet to remain in the side yard. The shed has been there since they moved into the house, and it has the pool equipment, supplies, patio supplies. As you can see from the plot plan, it is tucked away in the side yard along with the AC compressor, the pool heater. We have consent letters from Mr. Navwi of 826 Codwell Avenue, giving his approval of the shed to remain there. Mr. and Mrs. Kleben have a very good rapport with all their neighbors, and they were all kind enough to supply us with consent letters of approval. At present, there are no open building permits or plumbing permits pending. I'd like to give to the board a copy of the existing house right now, the way it looks now, and also to show them that 2 houses down is another house that pretty much is designed the same way that they're looking forward to designing their second-story addition. And
They-
I
Well,
also have 5 consent letters from
Go
the
ahead.
neighbors.
Ms. Kennedy, how long has the shed been there?
They've been there since 2021, and it's been there since they've been there.
And have they had any complaints from any of the neighbors?
No, nobody.
I suppose this was just discovered, the need to legalize it as a function of them filing for an application
Correct.
for a permit to add on the, and then, do I correctly understand that this proposed second-story addition will be like an overhang? In other words, what's under it is like, I could have a patio under it or something?
Yes, it's going to be open.
Okay,
But
and
it- No, go ahead.
if the board were inclined to grant this application, would your client accept a condition that the portion below it not be enclosed in the future?
Yes. Not a problem. Like I said, you can see the property is angled on a steep angle there, and that's just the very kind of corner of the addition is really what's encroaching. And like I said, I also supplied the board with the letter from Mr. Nawi, who is the abutting neighbor to, would be looking at the shed most of all, has no problem with it. Other than the shed being in the incorrect location, it is smaller than allowed, and it has its proper
Right.
setbacks anyway from the property line.
Any other questions from, does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, it does.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Ms. Kennedy, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered.
Thank you so
Second.
much.
Thank you, have a nice day.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next, we have case 15625 Franklin Square, Mohammed Mukhtar Ahmad, variance side yard, construct addition attached dwelling, also known as 1011 Maple Avenue. State your name and address for the record.
Chris Gray, architect 2401 Capri Place, North Belmont, New York, representing, good morning, representing Muhammad Mukhtar Ahmad, and he resides at 1011 Maple Avenue, Franklin Square. Good morning. My client wishes to put a full second-story addition on his home, and also a one-story addition in the rear that would be a rooftop deck.
Mr. Gray, sorry. The only thing you're here for, though, is the side yard for the, what I believe is the first-story addition, right?
I was just going to say that.
Oh,
yes.
good.
I was going to say the second story is not
Not
an issue
before
here.
us.
However, the new addition that is proposed to be on the ground, that would extend 8 foot 5 inches into the rear, and it's a total of 133 square feet. So this property is located in
Why does it say
Residence C zone.
But why is
This
it a
happens to
side
be a
yard?
substandard lot.
Because
The existing side yard
Yeah.
on
Got
the
it.
west side of the property is 3.9 feet, and where 5 feet is required, and then the aggregate that we propose of 11.5 feet is less than the 15 feet required.
Wait, but you're not here for
You're not here
aggregate.
for aggregate.
Becky, he's adding a single-story addition that is in line with the existing structure, but still is short on the side. He's here for side yard. Does he need aggregate too? Some of them, they don't do both.
Not at all, no.
It looks like he's not extending it any farther.
The
into
house, the
side yard.
proposed addition is in line with the house, right?
Yes.
It's just
Yeah,
that the
it's
house,
not-
yeah,
It's not making the side yard any less than what it
Right.
currently is.
Okay,
okay.
what?
It needs side yard aggregate, that's right.
So,
All
There-
right, so,
Additions vary in that sometimes there's an addition in a particular yard that has its own side yards.
Right.
This one happens to be nested.
I
kind of
understand.
squaring
So-
off, so that
Yeah.
we kind
So-
of include.
so Mr. Gray, we'll make a motion. Since the papers are all accurate and they've been on file for the necessary time,
Sure.
what I want to do is make a motion, since all the materials have been on file and accurately reflect what you're proposing, and administratively, the aggregate request just seems to have fallen through, I think it's de minimis. I think it's, I think the error is so de minimis that we can move now to add the side yard aggregate to the regular side yard request for these purposes. However, you still may need to do the paperwork and the fee for that additional request. I don't even know how that works
That's
according
fine.
to council, but, hold on. Mr. Gray, according to Ms. First here, it is possible, depending on the average, I guess it would be the 200-foot average probably, the 200-foot average of side yards, because the property is less than 50 feet wide, then would be to have the average in the 200 feet, and you may not even need an aggregate if the average in the 200 feet isn't bring you up to the 15.
Well, to do that, that requires work of a surveyor.
Okay, so, hold on. Okay, so that's not an option that seems
No,
like,
it's not
you
a
prefer to do the
it's
other.
not a practical option.
okay, so we'll amend the caption now,
Okay.
given that it's on, everything's accurate, there's been notice on file for 30 days, all that. Then you're gonna have to, who shall he speak to about taking up whatever paperwork needs to happen? Okay, to the zoning office? Okay, you'll go down there and figure out what you have to do paperwork-wise, okay?
That's
But
fine.
for purposes of what the board will consider, we'll amend the caption to include aggregate also.
That is fine.
Thank you. Keep going.
That's basically my case.
Okay,
And just for the record, just to let you know, there were 3 other applications that were filed and permits were released. This project involves a senior residence, and that was, permit was issued, and that was the application 24-3329.
so there's a senior residence in place on this property already?
That's correct, yes. If you were to question the exterior stair to the rooftop deck that is shown.
When did you file those senior residents and the other one?
In '24, there was a senior residence, the existing finished basement and fence, so that was all done in '24.
And those were as of right, or they're coming
Yes.
down the pike to us? Okay.
Those 3 were as of right.
Okay.
all right, that concludes your presentation.
Yes,
We have
sir.
some people who are here in opposition. Mr. Lee, or Miss Lee, and Liu, would you like to come up? Take the podium, sir.
Ms. Cozzolino, you want to slide? I think there's another person that wants to be heard. She can sit
Yes.
to your left, Ms. Cozzolino.
Speak into the microphone so that we can,
Slowly into the mic, because the court reporter also has to hear it well enough she can take it down. And start with your name and address, okay?
Okay. My name is Jackson Liu, and this is my mom, Lee Mei Yi. Yeah, Ling. Yeah. And we're the next door neighbors.
right.
Address.
1015 Maple Avenue, Franklin Square. Yeah. So, from what I can tell, it's from the west side. We're worried if that would kind of encroach on our property. But I'm pretty sure our property is actually on the east side. So I just want to know more details about that.
Okay, let's start with, when you say encroach on your property,
Yeah.
for starters, there's nothing we do here that could ever give permission for someone to build anything that actually encroaches physically onto your property. If you're worried instead about some other encroachment, like it blocks your sun or, I don't know, then it would be helpful if you could be specific about your concerns.
Yeah. Okay. So it said he said the first floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how high would that be? Because we do have some plants that might be blocked by sunlight.
Hold on.
Just for purposes of clarification, you understand that the proposal doesn't bring any of the buildings any closer to your house than exists already. You understand that?
Okay.
I'm going to show you. You are to the west. I think the building is to the west.
This is constructing an addition to a
So,
dwelling. Which case is this on?
Well, would you like to come up here and let me show you the materials?
He's not here for a shed.
So,
What case is that
here's the
on?
property at issue. There's your house. Here is the thing that's before us right now. So, if I were to superimpose it on here, see, there's their house, right?
Yeah.
They want to put, it is on your side, they want to put one story, it's that. They're also doing other work, putting a second story addition on, that's not
before
Because
us.
they have a right to do it, it's above their other house. So that will be a two-story now instead of 1.5. And this piece, which is over here, and that's your house, but it doesn't get any closer to the property line than the house is.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. So that should be fine. We were just worried that it might get over here because in the paper it was kind of nebulous. It said like the side yard. So we were thinking around like here.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
so here's why
it's
that
not.
is.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have a 5-foot side yard. They have 3.9. Their house, as it sits, must have had a variance a long time ago. So when they come in to add to it, even though it's not coming any closer, they have to get that same side yard variance for this piece. But it is no longer, it's gonna be in line with the
The
house.
house. It's not, no closer. Okay,
And then you tell us what else you wish to say.
if anything.
Okay, so Stephanie, you can let the record reflect that the folks who are here from the neighborhood who want to be heard, we've shown them the small addition proposed on the first floor, and that it doesn't encroach any further in the side yard that their property abuts on. So go ahead, sir.
Yeah. We no longer have any objections.
Okay,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Have a nice day. Mr. Gray,
Yes, that,
have anything else you'd like to add, sir?
nothing more to say.
Okay, any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Gray, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered, and you'll take care of that other stuff down there.
Yes, I will.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Next, we have case 15725 Belmore, Robert T. Party III, and Lisa Gomez. Install pool and equipment not permitted in front yard on Prospect Place. Maintain 6-foot-high fence larger than pool installation area, also known as 708 Sunrise Avenue.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Barone. I'm from Long Island Perfect Permits, 124 Front Street, Suite 205, Massapequa Park, 11762.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I am the agent representing Robert Party and Lisa Gomez. They are the owners of 708 Sunrise Avenue in Belmore, which is Section 63, Block 204, Lot 184. An application was submitted for a proposed in-ground pool and 6-foot PVC fencing. This lot has 2 front yards, so any structure constructed in the rear yard will be a variance because Prospect Place at the rear makes it also a front yard. The property on the south side of the subject parcel has a driveway abutting the fence. My client has installed an 8-foot clear sight triangle so the neighbor does not have any issue exiting his driveway. Although the rear fence is on the rear property line, there is still approximately 6 feet to the curb. The remaining fence is in compliance with Hempstead's fence building code. My client is wishing to update his yard, put a pool in for his family. He has spoken to most of his neighbors, and they do not have any objections to the variance being granted. I do have a few signatures from some of the neighbors in approval.
Ms. Barone,
Yes.
couple of things. Let me just start with the maintained 6-foot fence. So I understand your argument in the rear, what's actually the rear. I see the catty corner on one side of it. I don't see one on the other side. I don't see one on the other side because your driveway's back there. So I'll get to that in a second. But on the, what do you consider, your client considers the front of the house? I still see the fence going all the way to the street in the other side, but I don't see it highlighted here as if it's before us. What's the situation with that? Or is that the neighbors or what?
The only fence that was in question was where he was asked to put the clear sight triangle for the driveway. On the other side, there's at least 6 feet before they come out of their driveway on the other side.
Okay, hold on. But that's what you're telling me, and that's what's marked here. But there is a fence going forward of the dwelling on the non-backyard side that appears to go all the way to the street. It says it's stockade, and it goes along the driveway on both sides of the house. Whose fence is it? How tall is it? And does it otherwise have prior relief?
I've been there twice, and I have to tell you, I didn't notice the fence in the front yard. I only paid attention to the fence in the backyard. I'm not sure. I only have pictures of the backyard as well.
I know. But also
Yeah,
the front.
it's Prospect Place.
This fence is allegedly not before us. You've been there, right?
I've been there twice.
Okay, so you see that fence that you're asking to approve from the front of the house back and back where the driveway is definitely a potential issue because if nothing else pedestrians.
You're talking about
But
this, where
that's
the
back.
garage is?
That's the back, which is something we need to figure out also. But on the front, where their driveway also exists, there's a fence going all the way to the street on both sides that you don't
Okay.
seem to be here for that, but we can't just overlook it if it doesn't have relief and it goes forward to the dwelling on that side too. Where's this search sheet? I don't see any closed permit or open permit for that fence. It appears to be also 6 feet, and it would also need relief, even though it's not part of what you imagined you were here for. Now, I suppose it's possible one or both of them belong to neighbors, although they very much match your client's fence, but I will say one of the neighbors does seem to have that fence also. Yeah, that's the back,
That's
which
the
is a
back.
whole other issue.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not even, wait, you show it on the site plan angled
No,
on the back, but,
it's angled.
oh, I guess it is
It's angled
angled there a
over there.
little, yeah.
It's angled there.
Yeah, but it's not angled where the applicant's driveway is. I mean, we need to know
It's
about,
angled here.
The front, you're talking about the front yard on Lee Street
I'm talking about
or the
whatever
front
the
yard
street-
on
it does not-
Prospect?
It doesn't have the street
Talking
name
about
there.
Sunrise Avenue,
I-
and that's.
I guess it's on,
Sunrise and Prospect.
I know, okay, I know, you know what you're calling the back, right? That's where the garage is. The back is on.
That's
Prospect.
Prospect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so not that side.
Okay.
But the part that you consider the front.
Okay.
That same fence, see, they don't just have a driveway there, they have a driveway in the back
Right,
into the
no, I
garage,
understand that.
And they have a so in what we're calling the front. Now, in the front, it's not highlighted on your site plan, but in the front, a matching fence still goes all the way down that driveway too. We have two driveways with 6 feet fence going all the way along the property.
Sidewalk.
Then, and we have it on the other side of
Yeah, but
the
back-
front of the
back
house
here.
too.
You have it here and here.
I didn't pay attention to that because it was never mentioned. I only paid
And what
attention
they-
to the front
anybody
yard,
would
the
know.
backyard.
Can you see this, Becky, with your stuff? Okay, what's the deal with that other fence? We're gonna have to hold this,
Yeah.
but it's maintained, so we can't give a lot of time. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of them is not on there, the left side, if I'm facing the house from the front,
What do you-
it
what do you-
looks like it's possible it's the neighbor's, because it's slightly onto the neighbor's property, and it appears to match the neighbor's, but it also matches theirs. So, step one is figuring out if that's even their fence. You know, on that side, on what's the right side of their house, looking at the house from the front, same fence goes down, I think that's very likely theirs.
We'd have to inspect this.
So we're gonna have to do something, Ms. Barone, about, I think we're gonna have to adjourn it or something.
Okay.
But we can't give you a lot of time, because if this fence is creating a dangerous condition for either vehicular or pedestrian. No,
No.
both sides. It's along their driveway on both sides, all the way to the street. How much time do you think you'd need to, I mean, you're gonna start with figuring out whose fences those are up there. I'm guessing at least one of them are your clients. And then you're gonna have to get that filed however they do it in the building department. I'll leave that to you.
Could you possibly approach, please? This
On the other side, yeah.
This is,
Yeah, I mean, she's gonna,
that's like a full-foot fence.
yeah, but it's here too. It's here too, and she needs to figure out.
Here too
Yeah,
is not an issue. That's,
right, but it needs, at the very least, there's no application having been filed for that 6-foot fifth board on that side. On this side, that, she has to go back and figure out whose fences these are. I think it's possible that this one is the neighbor's. It's slightly onto the neighbor's property, and it appears to maybe match it. But this fence needs relief. So,
well, this fence needs relief as
yes,
well.
yes, and if it's hers,
Yeah.
then she'll have
If
to file for it.
if
If
it's
it's
your
not,
client's,
right.
you're gonna have to
So
file.
you're gonna have to go back and figure out whose fence this is, whose fence this is.
This
Well,
one seems,
I have eyes. I see that it looks like it might be there, but you'll have to find that out.
this one
And
seems
this
to
one
go
too,
down
and then you're
4
gonna have
feet,
to
but
get,
neighbor's brush is just,
right, but even then,
obstructs
not
it.
enough 4 feet. Anyway,
Got it.
you just gotta, I think we should adjourn it.
We're going
Let you go figure out if you need to file another application for this piece of the fence, and then we'll, how can we, let's say she has to file another application for this piece. She goes to the building department, gets kicked out. We just need a mechanism to get it on with the other case, so on the adjourned date, we can hear them all. Okay. Well, I just said, okay, so listen. If you get this, if this is yours, and you have to figure out this one too, because when you come back in, we're gonna ask you to represent that you've researched it and this is not your client's, if it is not. So then you get this filed, you can, I don't know how long the building department will take. Then once you get it filed and get rejected, because you will likely get it rejected, then you can she call down there? You contact the zoning, Mr. Owens, or Ms. Clancy, and we will consolidate, we'll find out, we'll get that on with the other one for the adjourned date, okay? So I'm thinking we don't give you more than a month, because obviously, if it's a dangerous
Potential.
condition, you know, imagine if in that month, imagine we gave you 6 months and some kid gets hit, you know? 2 months?
So when, what's the next day?
Yeah, I'm assuming the client's gonna get right on it, because they wanna install their pool. Yeah. And summer's coming.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
Yeah,
It looks 4
no,
feet, and it looks
well,
for
it
sure.
doesn't look like it drops down
Looks
to
like it-
4 feet up.
It drops a little, and it looks like it's only 1 4-foot section, maybe.
Yeah,
I
but
doubt
it's still,
8.
it's
But
still a
we just
6-foot
can't,
front.
we can't
Yeah.
ignore it. Right. Yeah, we can't leave it unaddressed. And again, you've gotta check the other one, make sure that's not your client's. So.
Or if it
June will
is,
be
they
the
have to
date.
get a permit. Is that okay?
June
June 4th?
And just get right on that part, so we can, and we will be kind enough, the office has indicated they'll be nice enough to, you get it kicked out, if in fact it will be, which I think is likely, and they'll get it on to your adjourn date with the others, so you don't have to wait for months and months on fence.
June 4th, what time? 9:30?
Well,
11?
well, we're concerned about this fence driveway. Correct.
Yeah,
It's
this,
an issue.
these.
So there's still 6 feet to come out.
We
What
understand
about
that the
pedestrians walking outside?
sidewalk appears to end right here, or that's probably a lip. Yeah.
Okay. We'll address it when you come back. The worst case scenario probably is we tell you to angle that.
Okay, I just want to give him a heads up that that's what he needs to do.
Well, I mean, it would make things a lot better. We wouldn't have a problem with it if it's angled.
Is there an issue with this side of the fence then?
I don't really think that's.
Unless there's a driveway adjoining it,
Yeah,
no.
where's the neighbor's driveway?
If I have a
It
picture,
is,
it's
it
like a
is.
parking lot here,
Oh, no.
not really a driveway.
How much, is this all grass or something?
This is all, this
but
whole
it's a-
thing is all pavement.
It's a parking lot,
Let me
the
see.
cars back out.
Let me
No,
see.
no, no, I'm saying, but it's not where they just come out of this side, they come out over here.
Who's got it on Google Earth?
Anywhere that there's a car that backing in. Hold on. Just leave it, Chuck.
Okay.
Hold on. We're talking about right here. Oh, you're right.
Yeah, he's got a big panel,
Driveway.
huge panel.
And that's all a curb cut, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, you should angle it here, and there's really no reason to have that piece there. I probably had nothing from the takedown. You'd want to take down at least just an 8-foot section.
Other than the fact that he probably doesn't look at the ugly parking lot.
Yeah, but let him take down the first section. Take down the 8-foot here, and angle this a little, then those are gonna be fine. And then there's just the issue of addressing the, we just can't look at a 8-foot, we can't look at a fence that needs a variance and ignore it when we're here. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, ideally, cutting this back just 8 feet and just angling this makes this driveway much safer. And then you just have to file for this piece. It looks like it's I don't know how much it's dropped down. and then just either this is yours or the neighbor's. Hard to tell because they have matching fences too, but it matches yours, so this could go either way. But, yeah, so, all right, you can go back. And Stephanie, let the record reflect that the applicant's representative and the board members discussed a few issues relating to the existing fence, and one of which
Fences.
includes that fences, one of which includes a few sections of fence that were not brought to the board that may or may not need variances. So the we're going to adjourn the case to June 2nd.
Sorry,
June
June 4th.
4th.
June
At
4th
11 a.m.
11 a.m. And by that, and then we will consolidate the new case that we think will be forthcoming related to the remainder of the fence. And then what you want to do, Mr. Long, if you go to the building department and come up to some resolution other than you will be filing for more fencing, then you might want to let us know that too. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's adjourned. Was there anyone else here on the case?
No.
Because you will need to do new notice if there's more reasons to stop, but you'll figure that out. Thank you.
Next, we're calling case 15825, Levittown, Michael Schlesinger, special exception to construct roof over outdoor kitchen, second accessory structure, higher and larger than permitted and exceeding horizontal maximum on two sides, also known as 168 Springtime Lane.
Photos would be helpful.
Lisa Koshia with Permits or Us, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396, Syosset, New York, 11791. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
I'm here representing Mr. Schlesinger, who is proposing to build a roof-over outdoor kitchen. This property is located in an LPRD zone. The proposed roof-over kitchen will be 11 feet by 15 feet, where the allowed is 12 by 12 feet, and will be 12.6 feet high to the ridge, where 9 feet is allowed. This will be used for Mr. Schlesinger and his family to enjoy outdoor living and have a separate cooking area.
Mr. Chia, did you give the overall square footage? If you did, I just didn't hear it.
It's 165 square feet.
165, the chairman tells me.
It's 11 by 15,
11 by
correct?
15, correct.
165
Thank you.
square feet.
Mr. Schlesinger respectfully requests your approval.
How did your client come to know this needed to be legalized? Oh, no, it's
He's
a construct.
proposing to build
a
it.
construct.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a few open permits as well. Ms. Koshia,
Yes.
could you reiterate the height?
Sure. The height is 12.6 feet high to the ridge, where 9 feet is allowed.
Okay,
You're welcome.
So I just,
just wanted to get it correct.
This, it's got open permit for the
Yeah.
garage,
Mhm.
the roofed over patio.
no, that's what he's here for, isn't it? Oh, no. There's also a roofed over patios in addition.
Correct.
40-pound propane tank.
Well, tell her. Mr. Pellegrini is going over the search sheet, and there are some open permits that he wants to go over.
Sure.
The search dated June 28, 2024 indicates that there's an open permit to maintain the garage.
Maintain attached garage, that's going to be closed out, and also the roof over patio rear, the 2021 permit will
That's-
also be closed out.
When? It's 20 years old is the garage one.
But you'll be closing that out with this, right?
With this, correct.
Tell her the other one.
She's thinking.
No, I'm just looking at the closed building permits that are already on there, but the open ones will be closed out.
Ms. First, is there anything necessary since the permit was issued in 2005, necessary to update in order to, has this permit expired, so to speak? Okay. Now,
This one, address that.
and then we have another, to construct a roofed over patio that applied would be the same.
That one,
Pending.
we have to talk about.
Ms. Kashia, you've been to the house?
Yes.
Could you approach, please?
Sure.
Now you gotta wait for her to sit down here before you address that.
Okay.
Or you can do it here and then just put it on the record. I just want it on the record.
Yeah, we will. Oh, yeah, it's all the way up there.
That's the shed.
Becky?
Hold on, no, it says existing use. Stephanie, let the record reflect. Go.
This fence is, it's a clear sight triangle.
I have to see the street. Well, is this the right one? No, this is the last one. No, Joe, it goes like this.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah,
Boy, oh boy, that's serious.
yeah. Did this have a variance of 6 foot in the front yard? Is it full?
Speaking. Oh, that stupid ordinance, that doesn't say you're entitled to have it.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute, but that is, where's the front of the house?
Right here. That's the primary one, okay?
So, but wait a minute, but still, don't they need it if it comes forward? They can't go forward here, yeah, that's right. Stupidest thing. And the 8 foot is on the hypotenuse? Wait, the the 8-foot is here and here, not the hypotenuse, right? Okay, go ahead. Stephanie, let the record reflect that the representative's the applicant's representative, Ms. Kuchia, discussed a number of matters related to fences and structures on the subject property, included in which, what just happened in my search sheet? Oh, was one of the there are a couple of open permits that were discussed on the record, which will be dealt with. But there's an open permit, which I'll put the number is 14-7883, with a 2014-12-945 from 2014 to install a 200-pound liquid gas tank and gas range, which expired on 9/15/2015 and must be refiled. So Ms. Kuchia is going to address that issue and get that refiling done if that is on the property.
They want it, right.
Well, that's an as-of-right shed.
Yeah, I realize that, but what's this?
She just said that's sort of kids' playground stuff. Okay.
Patrick, do we have a date, please?
According to the chairman, we're going to adjourn this case to let you address those issues. And can you let your clients know that one or more board members will be coming to do an exterior inspection? They will notify them in advance, so if they see someone out there potentially taking photographs, et cetera. That's what it is.
June 11th,
What time?
11 a.m.
She's going to address it and refile or remove it. That's why we're adjourning.
We should give her a limited date.
June 11th.
Okay. June 11th, 11 a.m. Patrick, we're going to take a 10-minute break because the court reporter has to change the paper, so
The computer.
whatever it is.
We'll be back at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
Joe, are you reflecting that?
JP. Is anybody going to inspect Belmore?
Joe.
Joe.
Oh, no, Belmore?
This one. Two of them. JP. Now, who is representing? Today. Can't scroll around today because I gotta wait for a call from my kid. Today's the first day. You can take that, kid. Thank you.
This is the old case right here.
That's a wonderful characterization. Let's go, Patrick. All right?
Next, we have case 15925, Wantaw, Barry Frankenstein. Variances, lot area occupied, side yards aggregate, maintain addition to garage, arch, partial garage conversion to living space, and rear porch converted to living space, all attached to dwelling, also known as 3598 Anita Lane. Have you sworn in from earlier? Just your name and address for the record.
Lisa Koshia with Permit to Rust, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396, Syosset, New York, 11791. Good morning again.
Morning.
I am here representing Mr. Frankenstein, who wishes to maintain an addition to the garage.
Miss Koshia, is it Frankenstein or Frankenstein?
I
You
will,
knew that was coming. Knew it was coming.
I said
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Frankenstein. It was never corrected, so I'll say it like that.
Okay.
Wishes to maintain an addition to the garage, arch, partial garage conversion, and rear porch converted to living space. This property is located in a Residence B zone. With the front garage addition and rear porch, we have a lot coverage of 29.87%, where 27.5% is allowed, and the addition has a side yard of .15, where 5.42 is required, and has an aggregate of 9.75, where 16.25 is required. Please note that the side yard and aggregate are to the arch portion of the addition only, because the arch sticks out further than the addition on the home. Mr. Frankenstein purchased the home in the 80s, and these items already existed, and they were not aware until it was brought to their attention. They are currently looking to sell and going to move into a 55 and over community. Mr. Frankenstein respectfully requests your approval.
The rear porch attached. Did you address the rear porch attached to the living space? Did I miss that?
Yes, the rear porch with the garage addition as far as lot coverage,
Okay.
that's 29.87%, where 27.5 is
27.5.
allowed.
Okay.
And the garage still hold a car?
Yes, they do, they park a car in it.
Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
Open permits?
Just a minute. No,
Thank you.
no open. And that is your case.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision counter. Ms. Kachia, you'll be notified by mail the board's decision once it's rendered. Thank you.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed?
Next, we have case 16025, Merrick, Jody Resnick Torado, and Joseph Torado. Use variance, lot area occupied, rear yard maintained, two-car detached garage with attic, used for storage, also known as 141 Smith Street.
Michelle Coslino, 312 Ellington Avenue, Garden City, New York, 11530. Agent for Mr. and Mrs. Torado. Subject property is 141 Smith Street in Merrick, 11566. It's the southeast corner of Smith Street and Washington Street in a residential B zone.
Morning, Ms. Cozzolino.
Morning.
Good morning. I just have some photographs of the premises as well as property cards for the board members to see.
We'll accept those in evidence. We have some people in opposition on this case. Do you want to show it to them first?
You have more than one copy.
Did you take the photographs?
I did take the
Do
photographs,
they
yes.
fairly and accurately represent what they
110%,
purport to?
yes.
How long ago did you take the photographs?
Yesterday afternoon, they were taken,
Then we'll accept them.
as recent as they can be. May I move forward with the,
You may.
okay. Mr. and Mrs. Torado are looking to maintain the existing garage that was originally constructed in 1938, a non-conforming structure, as well as the dwelling. The existing dwelling with the garage totals a 1,763.71 square feet giving a lot coverage of 31.1%, where 27.5% is allowed. The location of the garage has never changed from its original structure. The garage was expanded closer to the dwelling within the years by the previous owners. The rear yard is currently 1.83 feet, where 2 feet is required. The use variance being requested as well is to maintain the attic storage area of the garage, as the family requires area to store their belongings. The dwelling is a single-family home with 2 bedrooms and converted attic space into a playroom for their 2 children. The Torados purchased their first home during the COVID-19 pandemic shutdown and inherited a number of problems once they had closed. Their attorney had failed to notify them that their subject property held no permits, no records of anything with the building department. The Torados are a hardworking family. They have tried to rectify and obtain permits for all structures, the non-conforming dwelling, alterations to the existing dwelling, the fence, the HVAC units that were there prior to them.
Ms.
living there.
Cozzolino? Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Do you have a non-conforming letter in here somewhere?
What would be a non-conforming letter? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, it says that it's a non-conforming dwelling. Maintain a non-conforming one-family dwelling with conditions.
Yes,
So there usually is a letter and there are conditions on it that things have to be.
absolutely. I have a copy of that.
Is that something that you have?
Yep.
Did you apply for it, et cetera?
There were, majority of the permits were applied for back in 2021.
Right, this is one of them.
That is one of them, correct.
Well,
And
actually, this one says 22.
there's a number of them. There's 21, there's also a 23, there's also a 25 application, all of which have been closed out, and the conditions that were set forth with the non-conforming dwelling were also addressed.
All right, so let me read you the open ones. Maintain existing 2-car garage with attic, that's before us now. Maintain 6-foot PVC vinyl fence and gates, and then there's a parenthetical that says site inspector to verify no clear site obstruction at end of driveway/sidewalk.
Correct. There's a fence that was legalized on the premises because they're on a corner lot. Where their driveway and garage is located towards the rear of the property, the original fencing that they had purchased the house with, the fencing went all the way up to the corner. We have now created a clear sight triangle at the end of that garage driveway area, which you can see from the pictures submitted today that was completed and done by the owners.
Okay, so is it still, you mentioned that a number of, this search sheet is from July of last year. So it's very well possible that some of these things, so you mentioned that a bunch of them were closed out. Is that one closed out?
That is closed out.
Okay, so that's closed. And then the existing garage is not closed out because it's before us.
The existing garage is the only application that's still, the only building permit that's still open.
The non-conforming, we found the letter.
Yeah, but wait. Take a look at condition number 2. And then 2 and 3 seem to be contradictory.
This, so on your non-conforming, let me see, which is dated 2022 in September, one of the conditions, so it's a non-conforming on a 50 by whatever, granted subject to the following conditions. The second condition is obtain building permit for the removal of detached garage.
Correct.
That would be a condition to it ultimately being
The building department,
characterized
yeah,
as
the building department considered because the original garage footprint was altered from the 1938 footprint, they wanted me to show a demolition, and then it's the same exact structure, it was just expanded.
Becky, would you mind coming? 1 second, Stephanie.
Sure.
Look at 2 and 3. Yep. Is that what she's saying? Demo of the. And that's this one. But why does it say? Ms. First has confirmed that everything is closed out with the exception of this garage before us. So the garage has storage, let's see, obviously because it's a use, it's a heavy lift. Maintain two-car with attic used for storage. Is it that garage that's shaped like a barn?
Correct.
So there's a lot of space up there. It's just, what kind of storage?
It's, well, the previous owner was storing his kayaks up there. As you can tell, that there was a small door at the top of the, so where the garage door is, there's another little portal that was built on top. That's what they were using that storage for. They're just pretty much occupying it with just their Christmas decor, holiday things, kids' toys that they're outgrown. So
Is
that's
there,
what's being stored.
A pull-down staircase?
No,
or
they actually have a ladder there.
Is there heat in the garage?
There's no heat in the garage.
I take it there's power. Is there plumbing?
There is electric, there's no plumbing there,
And your clients would accept a condition that it remain that way?
of course.
No, no heat. And how long has it been in this enlarged size?
We don't know. The property has been handed over different owners throughout the years since the original built. We can't tell when it was actually constructed to this precise size.
I see the other, I see what looks like two different portals above it, like a higher one, a middle one. and-
Correct.
Well, the house is very attractive and well-maintained.
Yes.
We have two people in opposition. Are you here?
Stand and we'll get you
Stand.
sworn in so we can hear from you.
Thomas Griselle, 64 Washington Street,
Louder.
Merrick. I'm sorry. Thomas Griselle, 64 Washington Street, Merrick, New York, 11566.
I am Alexandra Music, 64 Washington Street, Merrick, New York, 11566.
Okay, good morning. Help,
morning.
I just want to find you on our radius map.
We're right next door.
Right next door, it says
So when you look at
Graceland?
the driveway, that's our driveway next to their driveway.
Hold on, so are you, on my map, is it Graceland?
Yes, they have it, Griselle and Music, but they have for some reason added an. So I'm Music and he's Griselle.
Okay, I don't have the music, but okay.
Okay.
Okay, so who wants to be heard first?
I would. We live at 64 Washington Street, right next to the garage in question. Although we hold no ill will towards our current neighbors and happen to think highly of them, we are here today because we were wronged by the previous owners, who chopped down a tree without our consent on the property line and built a much too tall and much too large garage, replacing one of normal size. Additionally, this structure was built too close to our property line. Because it is 2 stories high, it is all we see from our north-facing windows. I have photographs here if you want to see. It obstructs our view of the sky and also of Smith Street. In addition, it casts a large shadow. In conclusion, the garage in question is too tall and large and not suited for the site, and we object to its being there.
Okay, hold on, you said it's too close. Let me look at how far is it off the line. 1.83 where 2 is required on a detached, right? So it is 0.17 too close, so you're correct about that.
Did you want to say something?
Excuse me.
Good, speak into the mic because it's harder to hear than it seems.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak in opposition to this variance. Interesting to me, all the cases we've heard sitting here are for variances for projects yet to be built. This garage, first of all, it was built, I estimate 12 years ago, since we were living there at the time, and it was by the individual who sold the house to this party. He had rented it temporarily to relatives in the interim before this family moved in. This is tantamount to a 20-foot barricade blocking sun. We basically keep the blinds closed all day just because this is our view. If I may I give you these photographs taken from these two windows? These are our
You
two.
could show them. Did you take the photographs?
Yes.
And do they fairly and accurately represent what they purport to represent? They've not been in any way altered?
No, they've
Okay.
They are from our two north-facing windows on the first floor. We
Okay.
have two north-facing windows, and that's our view.
Okay, just so you know, from what I see, although they're asking for the garage and for certain variances like the lot area occupied in the rear yard, and they are short by .17 on the side yard setback to the side they share with you, they are not asking for a height variance on the garage. So I think they're allowed 16 average or 12 average. They're allowed to have an average 12 height, and they don't exceed that. So, go ahead.
It's 2 stories. I don't know how it is that it doesn't exceed 12 feet.
Let me see if I can.
I mean, I think this picture that the lawyer
Well,
provided.
average 12, which would mean the ridge is 12. It would mean the average height. Let me see. Luckily, we have one of our, or arguably our best. Here we go. It's not the ridge that we're talking about. Becky. Becky, can I show you this? So, in consult with our esteemed plans examiner, reviewing the plans submitted for the garage, it does appear that the garage may need a height variance, a de minimis one, but unfortunately, the number of the average on the garage is not on the plans.
It is.
I don't
May I
see.
approach and show you?
Sure. The height should have been evaluated from that midpoint right there.
The average height is 1111. Right up
Show me where it is.
there. Average height line. You notice that it's
But see, Becky said it doesn't go from there. No, Becky,
We went back and forth with the plan examiner.
she says, argue on this. Hold on. So, they say the average height is there. See, Becky says this is the roof, so the average height is there. She said, so what?
This is
You
where
and the plans examiner discussed this?
Colleen and I had, this is why it took 4 years to get to you guys, but we've had many, many conversations about this. This is where she had informed me that she would want to have it reflected, and that's where we went by.
Joe. Okay, so, hold on. So, now in our second consultation, because of the style of the roof that goes like this, and like this, there is some disagreement, if you will, about where the what part is the roof and not the roof, and where the midpoint there is. Apparently, the plans examiner who examined it determined that part, this, and this, all that is roof, because it's above the plate, above the first floor, but it's all roofed with roofing, it's all roof, and therefore the midpoint, which is shown here on the plans, and I can show you if you'd like to see it, given that that's been determined to be the roof, the average height, which is the midpoint of that whole roof section, is at 11 feet 11 inches. It's 1 inch under the 12-foot allowable. And that was what the building department examiner determined, so then it does not need a height variance. I think it's a little confusing because of the style of the roof. So they don't need a height variance for the height. They do need the setback variance, 0.17, as you'd indicated. So go ahead and,
I mean, one other point.
Yes.
The lawyer had mentioned the Torontos are claiming ignorance about this, that they were not aware that this was in any kind of violation. That was one of the things that mentioned. I mean, the previous owner, I knew him fairly, we weren't buddies, a much younger guy than me, but we talked, and he told me that they were fully aware of it and used it as leverage to lower the purchase price of the house.
and
But
the
it
other,
also means that somebody's not telling the truth here if they're
Right.
claiming ignorance.
so I will tell you that the state law governing this precludes us from treating anyone differently, whether they built a house without a permit and then they came in to legalize it, or they never built the house and came before us for that same application. We have to treat them the same. We can't penalize them for having done the work without the benefit of a permit. In large part, I think the idea is that we'd rather have people legalize their things, even if they didn't build it, so that we can make sure they meet the standards for structural integrity, safety, et cetera. It's not anything we have control over. So I would have to, even if they came in and said, I built this garage last year, in analyzing whether or not we would find it acceptable for a variance, we would need to treat them the same as if someone came in and said, I want to build this garage. I've been honest and not done anything without the benefit of a permit. So while I understand it rubs everyone the wrong way when people are dishonest or they think they are. But we can't even include that as a negative in our analysis as to whether or not we would grant this garage how it is, with obviously encroaching slightly into the side yard.
Then one other question. If it's claiming that the footprint is the same footprint as the previous garage, the previous garage was half the size and it's substantially smaller. I mean,
When you say previous, you mean the one that the other guy had before he changed it?
the one that was there prior to, whatever, approximately 12 years earlier, that I guess had been built in 1938.
I think she said that it wasn't, you said that it was enlarged from the garage that it used to be.
It was enlarged from the original structure, but you can also tell that on the property cards, when they were taxed on it when it was first built, it says 18 by 18. We're now at 22 by 20. So it's a
been
slight
enlarged,
difference.
but-
It's not half the size. That's, half the size would be 8 feet by 8 feet, like a shed. But the
I understand.
property cards state 18 by 18. That's what they had. And you can tell that also by going into the garage, which we will show the building inspector, the initial actual foundation that's still there on the flooring area of the garage.
Okay. Sure, you gotta use the microphone though.
I just have a question about the way the building itself is shaped.
Before you do that, where are the photographs? Ms. Cozzolino, do you have any objection to those photographs?
No?
Okay, because I'd like to see them then.
And you were talking about where the roof starts.
Correct.
And I'm saying the shape of the roof is one of the issues with the monstrosityness of the garage, that roof is straight and it's even though it's got roof tile on it, it's like a wall, big wall, and you can see it in the picture. I'm just wondering how is that allowed? I mean, you're allowed to make a roof that,
Well,
just cover the side of the wall and say it's a roof?
for ease, to me, it looks like a barn roof.
Yes.
Right.
But it's all covered on the side, straight.
I agree with you, it does make the bulk of that second level very usable. Becky, can you speak to, she's asking, basically that's allowed, I think it is, but is there anything more to be? But there's no
Struck so
denying,
much more view because of the way it was. It's just a shame they didn't just make a triangle.
understood, and I agree with you, it would be less of a mass if it had a traditional roof style.
Mark, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hi, the storage area that you're calling it above the garage, how do you get to it? Is there a staircase?
Yeah, regular
There's a
staircase.
ladder. There's an access hole that's 4 by 4, and it's shown on the plans, and they place a ladder there to bring up there. There was a set of stairs prior, which they have now demolished and removed, and they use a ladder to access the storage area.
So when the prior owner redid this garage, and you say the footprint is now 22 by 20 instead of 18 by
The footprint is
18,
now,
and you said that it was substantial, it's not twice the size, but
It's not twice
but
the
it sort of is if you added the upstairs storage area. If you take the square footage of the garage now itself, because it's taller, didn't they add that roof structure that's in question, wasn't the storage area, wasn't that added from the original garage from 1938? It
you
didn't
mean
look
the square footage of the overall
the
floor?
the inside of the garage. I'm not
Okay.
just talking about, so now if you have 20 by 22 on 2 stories instead of 20 by 22 on the original 1-story garage, there'd be a lot more area, it'd be a bigger structure, right?
Of course, because we have
Yeah,
attic storage.
but that was these people's argument in that it looks like it's twice the size. So how, from the original structure, how much square footage is there now inside? Between the second level and the first, there's 2 levels now, right?
I understand what, I
In
believe
other
I
words,
understand what
if
you're
you-
asking.
If you have the original garage from 1938,
Correct.
and it doesn't have the upstairs storage area, now you make the footprint bigger, and you make basically a second story of the garage, it's a lot bigger, the structure. That's my point.
There's no way that I can find out exactly what plans of the garage that were back in,
I was just commenting on what these people said, you know, and you said that it wasn't twice, it wasn't so much bigger, but it is.
no, the neighbors had mentioned the fact that the size of the garage itself wasn't as large as it is today. Was just saying the fact that from the 1930s property cards, from 1938,
Yep.
the original footprint of the garage was 18 by 18, and as of today, we have 20 by 22.
And my answer to that is, you have an upstairs to it too, so the structure's a lot bigger. You have the whole second story that I'm looking at in the picture, that wasn't there. The
I don't-
original garage in a house in 1938 wouldn't have that storage area up there.
I'm not certain of that. I can't verify that information.
So let me recap this. So this was knocked down without a permit. They just did it. The prior owners and your people claim negligence that they didn't know about it.
My
right?
homeowners
Yeah.
are stating that they were not the ones that installed it or placed it in there or did any alterations to it.
So my point that these people live next door and they saw the original and what's there now. So what they're saying is from visual and from what it looks like, it's probably pretty accurate, you know, for what they're saying. I see a picture of them of their window looking next door, and you could see where the original garage, or there's two different color sidings on it, like when it gets towards the top.
There's a siding and a roofing shingle,
Yeah, so
correct.
it gets from one to the other, so it does look like something was changed.
But with all due respect, let me just state this, that whether or not that, though the roof style is of massive size, the roofing itself, whether it be a gable-style traditional roof, their view would still be roof shingle. Their view would not change.
No, but I was listening to both sides of the argument.
understand.
And I was just, in reference to and then we were talking about where the crown of the roof is and everything. I was just trying to listen to what both people's points of view are, and I
Of course.
wanted to know what your perspective was on what they said. That's all.
Understood.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
I do have one other photograph. It's not great. I took this in 2007, and you see the edge of the previous garage next to our home, and you can just see, if you compare it to the images that the lawyer provided, just how much smaller. You can see the roof line being. This is a standard one-car garage, similar to what we have.
So the roof style has changed, okay. I don't have any evidence of those, meaning that I've never seen anything that depicts what the structure was prior. So you have to look.
The best I came up with as far as images.
That's great, no, it's good.
Yeah. No, we can improve it again, but
Okay, so is there anything else you would like the board to know about this?
Just one other point. I think, I'm not precisely sure what the numbers were, but that, I guess these two structures on the property take up, what, 31.7% of the
Hold on,
property?
let me look it up so we know the right number. The lot area occupied, proposed, is,
31.1%.
I'm looking, yes, 31.1,
And allowed was 27 point something?
correct.
27.5.
I mean, is a variance required for that?
Yes, it requires, let me see.
Lot area occupied.
Yes, they are here for that.
They're here for
And
that.
I will tell you that in the realm of this, that's not a huge lot area occupied. It's not nothing, but it's not, anything sort of under 32. It's an ad hoc analysis. So I'm not saying that every 32 is allowed, but different neighborhoods kind of have a pattern of
Development.
lot area occupied pursuant to the development pattern. And so that and the side yard setback are not huge variances compared to what we see, but that doesn't mean that they don't matter, just so you know.
I mean, it's just our opinion that the scale of these two structures on a small lot is totally out of whack with a suburban, middle-class residential neighborhood in Nassau County.
Ms. Catalino, what zone are you in?
Residential B.
Because why does it say the required lot area is 5,000?
Well, the lots generally are 50 by 100.
You know, it's generally 6,000 is the required lot size. So their grid says that 5,000 is. Well, that's just an error.
Yeah, it says 5,000 required, and
Yeah,
it's
that's an
56.
error.
That is an error.
Well, what about the building? Did she give us oh, she did. She had a pre-existing non-conforming letter. Yeah, right. Okay.
And they also, just so you know, the house was built so long ago with a garage, albeit not this exact one, that they went to the building department based on the records, Nassau County tax records. People can come in, and if their house was built before about 1930, 32, something around, it depends, when the ordinances came into effect, they can request a non-conforming letter, and the building department does a fairly significant inquiry, the county taxing records and whatever else they have access to determine whether or not the property is sort of non-conforming, is what people will call grandfathered in. And they did receive a non-conforming grant with certain conditions that they had to comply with, including legalizing this garage and providing other documentation to show that this garage was already a garage there, but was thereafter altered, and then seeking this approval here today.
Yes.
Despite the way the wording is on the non-conforming, which indicates get a permit for the removal of the other garage and get a permit for the new one. That's not what actually happened, right? The old garage was there and it was altered.
The old garage was there. I guess due to the age, most of it had to be reconstructed, and the building department deemed it to be, that it was demolished or removed in order for them to have reconstructed it at some point whenever that
So
year
did
was.
they get a permit to demolish the part they demolished?
Well, yes, we received a permit for that as well, yes.
You have a copy?
Hold on,
I can give you the application number for that one.
1 second.
That was just filed 2025.
Oh, so it's not closed yet?
It is now closed, yes. It is now closed. It was issued.
Oh, here, it was the one that was in 21, maintain existing two-car garage with attic. No, that's not a
No, there's application number 25-405. That is to maintain the removal of the garage.
Maintain it.
when was that? When did you get that permit?
That was back in January
That doesn't
Of
show.
what year?
of this year.
Oh, that's why it's not on here. Our sheet was printed in July of 24.
July
earlier.
of 2024.
So you did get that demolished permit?
We have done all the conditions
And
that.
closed it?
Correct.
Should she not have a copy?
Did you already get the fencing permit?
Yep. So all inspections have been already done at the premises. Certificate of completions have been issued for all items. This is the only item that was left
Did
pending.
the lot area occupied change other than the garage?
No.
So most of what's on the premises, other than the garage alteration, was approved, was grandfathered in. But that doesn't include the new size of the garage. That's why she's here. So a lot of that goes into the lot area occupied, which apparently existed prior to the ordinances being in effect. So even though the lot's undersized.
I mean, if I understand correctly, so you got a permit for the demolition of the original garage,
Correct.
but you don't know the date that the original garage was constructed or demolished?
We have the
No.
original date of 1938, May of 1938, which is the date that we have it on the property cards from the Nassau County Tax Assessor's Office, but we have no other proof at that point as to
Right.
what changed, how it altered. We know that we can see lines in the foundation line as to where it was expanded in order for it to get to the size that it is today.
But Ms.
But prior to that, I'm
wait,
sorry.
But The 1938 date, isn't that the date the card is, and it says at that time it was?
Correct. So
Yeah.
1938 is
It
when the
existed.
tax assessors was established. It could have been done prior to that.
They
We
usually
don't have
say,
any
did you
proof.
look on it? They usually say, there's a single-family dwelling that appears to be 10 years old, and that's in 1938, so they think it was 28.
It doesn't have that information on there. Even on the description, it does state that there's
Yeah.
a two-car garage.
Yeah,
It does state that the dwelling was there,
Dwelling,
one story,
and two-car garage,
with a basement.
18 by 18.
That's the only proof that we have of anything prior.
It didn't say how old it seemed to be at the time that you, don't they usually say how old it seemed to be at the time, Becky? I've
Yes, they
always
give
seen
you,
that.
is it on there, or? It's usually on there.
Where are you seeing that? So the house and the old garage are grandfathered, basically. Again, but the new garage is not.
But the previous garage was a one-family garage. It was not a two-family
What do
garage.
you- No.
Two-story, you mean?
A two-car garage. The previous garage was a one-car garage, not a two-car garage.
18 by 18.
Yeah. In the old property card, it says it's a two-car garage,
Yeah, it does say that
18 by 18.
18 by, they considered it a two-car garage,
Well, it's
even
large
the old
enough.
one. It says it
It's
on
large
the,
enough.
these are the whole handwritten cards in the county.
For
This isn't
taxing
anything
purposes.
created, this was created in 1938. And as she said, it says that it was about 8 years old at the time. So it's been determined by county and the town that the house and the 18 by 18 garage were built about 1930. So that's what's grandfathered in, but not the,
Not the current building that's there.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, I guess, thank you for the time, and, I mean, I really hope this variance is not approved, because, let's face it, it's probably easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, and permission was never asked for in the first place.
you're exactly right.
So, anyway, thank you very much.
What about the height?
No.
That's been resolved. Yeah, wait a minute.
Is there anything else you wish to add, Ms. Cozzolino?
I just would like to say that the current homeowners were not the ones that did any of this construction to the garage by any means. It was done by the, I guess, the friend of the. Okay, so whomever, but it was done by not the current owners. So they purchased the property, and they're just trying to close out all the necessities
sell it.
onto their property.
Okay,
That's my case.
all right. Any
Is
other
there money in
questions from
escrow?
the board? Did they, wait a minute. You asked if there's money in escrow?
Well, because-
They didn't close yet, did
They
they?
did close.
They
They
did
closed the
close.
property back in 2021.
You're talking about when your clients purchased the home, there was no money in escrow?
There was no money in escrow.
Because this gentleman mentioned that the prior owner told him that the new owner had leveraged the fact that the garage had no permits to alter the price, so I didn't know if there was money.
They probably got
This was
credit.
being built by the previous owner. This was going on when you were living next door, correct?
That's correct.
You never, made a complaint to the building department?
Well, I will say this, and I take some responsibility. I was working long hours. I was still working before I was retired.
Right.
Easily gone 10, 12 hours a day. One day I get home, and the tree that was on shared, right on the border between our two properties is gone. Wasn't happy, and he's told me he's building a new garage. And I assumed Nassau County is known to be very rigid in granting permits. I assumed everything was on the up and up. And quite honestly, till the thing was all the way up, I mean, we didn't know what he was doing. He didn't come share plans with us.
Right.
Had he done so, or even now, as a retired person who's home more often, if something like this was going on, I would have been more proactive.
Right,
So,
right.
but like I
Okay.
say, busy lives and a full-time job in the city, and,
Right.
no.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it was up.
Right, okay, I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add, sir? Okay. You're finished. Any other questions from the board?
I would just move, Mr. Chairman, that the hearing be closed, that the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Ms. Cozzolino and both of you folks will all receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it is rendered. Thank you for taking the time and contribute to the process. Have a nice day, everyone.
Next, we have cases 161.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Good one, Jim.
Next, we have cases 161 of 25 and 162 of 25. Wantor Mary Madden, special exception to maintain accessory structure shed, higher and larger than permitted and exceeding horizontal maximum on all sides. Variances, side yard, rear yard, construct wood deck partially surrounding existing pool, also known as 111 Weeding Lane. Ms. Cozzolino, we have you sworn in from earlier. Just please state your name and address for the record.
Lisa Cochia with Permits R Us, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396.
161.
Syosset, New York,
Right. 160
11791.
was the one to use variance for the
I'm here
garage.
representing Mrs. Madden, who wishes to maintain a shed and who is proposing a wood deck. This property is located in an LPRD zone. The shed is the original garage built in 1968 under permit number 19684038, which is now required to be maintained as an oversized accessory structure due to the fact that a side addition was approved to the home. They are also proposing to build a deck partially around the swimming pool, which would have a side yard and rear yard setback of 1 feet. There would be no impact to the rear or side neighbors as this property abuts county land. Mrs. Madden respectfully requests your approval.
No, she didn't.
Cochia, did you
Yes.
give me the numbers on the size of the shed? You did, I just missed it.
No, she didn't.
I did not. The garage,
No shed.
it's a shed, it's the
Oh.
old garage, is 14.51 by 21.29 feet.
Ooh, that's large.
It's the original,
a garage.
it's the original garage on the property.
What's the height of it?
The height, I don't believe I have.
You're here for height.
One,
And what's the total square footage, if you know?
I can do that.
I know. All right, I found some plans
It's
here.
308 square feet.
That everywhere it says top of ridge, it doesn't have a number. Okay, here's one that says it's 10.7, because you were denied for height, larger, and both horizontal. So does 10 feet, 7 inches sound right?
sounds right, it does.
Okay, and then did you calculate the square footage?
It's 308.7 square feet.
308.7, does that sound about right?
If it's 15.5 feet by 21.29 feet,
No,
14.5?
14.5, I'm sorry, by
That's okay, by
21.29
21.29.
is 308.75 square feet.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I hate to be slow here, but on the rear yard and side yard,
For the
1 foot.
wood deck? The wood deck, the rear yard and side yard is a 1 foot. That's on the proposed deck.
what are they supposed to be?
I believe it's 5 feet. Yes, 5 feet.
Which is supposed to be 5 feet?
The side yard minimum is 5 feet.
And rear yard?
The rear yard looks like 20, for the deck.
It's Nassau County land on both sides.
Yeah, they're looking to build it around the swimming pool. Okay. I apologize, Mrs. D'Amato. It's 4 feet and 4 feet.
Those are the requirements.
Yes.
And you got 1 and 1, right?
And I have 1 and 1, correct.
Proposed, it's not there.
It is proposed, yeah, it's not there.
What's the difficulty of making it comply?
The way they're trying to make it a certain shape around the pool and connect it to this structure, this roof over wood deck structure. So because of the size of that, what they're trying to do, it just creates it to be that size.
But the roof over structure has a setback of probably 2 feet.
But the one side only has, the deck is only 4.16 wide, so you would have none there.
Right. And the shape of the back of the
That's not bad,
property
you
is
just
also a little bit,
But that's not a big deal, you just,
That's a step.
hold on, you would just have to do something like this. You'd have to go like, something like that to have a 4-foot.
Well, this has to come off.
Well, but here, that's not a big deal. I mean, it's not a big deal to take it off.
It's not there yet.
I know. It's not a big deal to not build it.
Cut it down.
It's not a big deal to comply.
Right.
Okay.
Because that, if you did have a 4-foot section going along the rear yard and up to even, what's the setback on the roof over deck?
Here around it.
Do you know? I don't see a number here.
I don't see a number either.
Well, the house is at 5. So the garage probably sitting at, looks like it's half of 5. And the roof deck is even with the garage. So if you
Yes.
just brought the deck in line with the roofed over deck, and then on the back just take off 4 feet, you'd be able to comply without losing too much. It's not going to affect the way it butts up to the pool. See
I
what
don't
I'm
know if
saying?
they'd be able to put, I think they're looking to put a step on the rear side of the pool. Maybe they'd have to eliminate that step, just have the step on the front end of the pool, if that makes sense.
I see the little step, but I don't know what. I see what you're saying. I just don't think, in other words, I don't think it's a huge loss. The bulk of it would still be there. It would make sense to bring it in line with the garage and the roofed over wood deck on that side, and then just take 4 feet off that little section. It still butts up to the pool nicely.
Actually, the southern part of this, I guess, abuts vacant land. It's a sump there.
It's correct.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that
and
is-
then there's an expressway
So
in the back.
I don't think that's offensive, but
Southern and western.
Just that one side.
keep that in line with the roofed over.
If we made the line the same, I see what you're saying. If we made the line the same as the roof over wood deck, I
Right.
don't know if we get 4 feet, though. I think we're
Well, you
still gonna
don't.
be less than 4 feet.
You don't, but we're just suggesting
Okay.
that's a much more palatable arrangement because it is already encroaching to that part. And then leave the, but not, maybe not make the other 4 foot because I didn't realize it's vacant land back there. So it's literally like you're gonna lose 2 feet of a little section. We'll figure it out in our deliberations.
Okay.
That concludes your presentation, Ms. Bashir.
Yes, it does.
Okay, any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Ms. Kachia, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's ready.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next case.
Next, we have case 16525, Merrick Michael Bizkovich. Special exception to maintain accessory structure, gazebo with pizza oven, higher and larger than permitted, and exceeding horizontal maximum on all sides, also known as 1872 LC Avenue. Ms. Kashia, we have you signed in for 4. Just your name and address again for the record.
Sure. Lisa Koshier with Permit to Rust, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396, Syosset, New York, 11791. Last but not least, I am here today representing Mr. Binkovich, who wishes to maintain a gazebo. This property is located in a Residence B zone. The gazebo is 12.58 feet by 20 feet, where the allowed is 12 by 12 feet. It is 11.8 feet high, where the allowed is 9 feet, and is 270.83 square feet, where the allowed is 144 square feet. The gazebo was built about 3 years ago. They retained somebody to legalize it. However, they found out that the person drew a set of plans, but never filed for the permit. After multiple attempts to contact them, Mr. Binkovich decided to retain our company to finish the process and get it legalized.
How did he come to know it needed to be legalized? I
When-
see, wasn't doing other work, so.
When he went to build it, he had a set of plans drawn up by this previous person who said that they were going to file the permits to make it legal, and they just never did the process. Mr. Binkovich found out that the process was never completed. He never even filed the permit for the permit.
Any complaints from any of the neighbors?
Not that we know of, no. Is there?
We have a complaint in the file that you'd like to record.
Please, thank you.
Could you get Mr. Searcher up to date?
Search sheet.
Where the hell is the search sheet?
Thank you, that's okay. Thank you.
You know how to do it better than me. Open permits, none. Open permit, a pool and a central layer. Have you been to the property?
Yes, I have.
And there's still an open permit for the above-ground pool. Is the fencing in place?
Yes, there is fencing
Okay, so it just needs an inspection.
and be
But
closed
in your
out.
opinion, it has the proper enclosure for the pool?
It has the fencing around the whole perimeter of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cuccia?
Yes.
If the board were to look favorably on your application, would your client accept a condition, if the board chose to impose it, that the other open structure, the roofed-over open patio, or whatever we're calling it, that it not be enclosed in the future?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Again, Ms. Cuccia, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Gabe. Where was your recent trip?
Next, we have cases 16625 through 16725 near Rockville Center. Patrick Gren. Variance, lot area occupied, maintain one-story addition attached to dwelling. Variance, side yard, maintain AC unit attached to dwelling, also known as 1417 Surrey Lane.
I do.
It is good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Good afternoon, Mr. McKevitt.
For the applicant, Thomas McKevitt, Son Ward, Braff, Coscignano, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, 11553. Represent the applicant, Patrick Graham, in this application, this matter. As said, indicate case number 166 is for an area variance for a lot area occupied for an addition to a one-story dwelling, and 167 is for a side yard variance to maintain air conditioning unit of dwelling, which requires a 6-inch variance. And by the way, before I begin, I have two exhibits for the board. The first is a group of photographs which I personally took last Thursday at the premises. They are fair and accurate representations of what I saw at that time and took with my camera. And the second is the zoning map. Now, the radius map. Now, you may wonder, why am I giving the board a radius map when you already have one? It's for two reasons. Number one, I really haven't used my hot pink highlighter in a long time. So I have it in my case, and I wanted to use it. But the reason why it's so important, when you look at my hot pink highlighter, I've seen something I've never seen before in 28 years. There is the line between the Residence A zone and the Residence B zone. If you see how the line goes, the line intentionally goes out of its way to include the Greehans house in the A zone. And the reason why I say this is, if the line were built the way it should be, we wouldn't be sitting here today. But I'll just get my part of the explanation.
Thank you.
So obviously this is located 1417 Surrey Lane in Rockville Center. Some people consider this really the South Hempstead area. It's about 7 houses north of the Rockville Center. Hempstead Village line is where his house is located. It is section 36, block 236-1, lot 260 on the land and tax map of Nassau County, and it's located in the residential A zone of the town of Hempstead. So the property is 102 feet by 60 feet deep. It's 6,060 square feet. The house was built in 1950. Again, there's two reasons why we're here. Number one, my clients, approximately 20 years ago, in order to do a little bit of an expansion of the kitchen dining room, did a small addition in the southeast corner of the premises. Essentially, they rounded out the back of the premises, all right? So it was an addition of approximately 124 additional square feet. So the prior, yes?
The one thing I have doesn't have an arrow on it, so, but I'm looking at your photograph of the front of the house back.
If we go to the rear,
Is the southeast in the back?
if we go to photograph number 2, the area closest to my camera on the left-hand side, that was where it was actually squared out. So originally, it was several feet, it was about 10 feet further in, and they added about 10 by 12 feet to essentially square out their kitchen, their dining room. That's where that addition was. So we've got photograph number 2 is the area on the left-hand side of the photograph. So originally, the lot coverage was 24.6%. By adding on that addition, they're 26.7%. Under an A zone, you're only allowed 25%. If there were any house to the north, to the east, or the west, they're allowed 27.5, but they're not. So that's why we're here today in that regard. So they're exactly 100.8 square feet over the lot requirements of the zone.
How did they discover that this issue existed? Were they doing other work, or did someone complain?
When we went, my wife was 8 months pregnant at the time that we were planning to do this work, or something close to that. And the architect came back to us and said, oh, you're going to need a variance. But that would have meant that we would have had to do the work while we had a newborn in the house. That's how we found out.
So it's something you realize. I always tell clients, look, before you look to sell the house, your children take the house, get it fixed now, get it easier done, and they're just doing the right thing at this point to try to do it. So, but for what it's worth, 2 of the houses on the west side of the street, 1410 Surrey has a lot coverage of 30.3%, and 1416 Surrey is 28.1%. So you have houses directly across the street which have higher lot coverages, which comply.
Got it.
And that's really what comes down to that point. The air conditioning unit, when they looked at the survey, the air conditioning unit condenser is about 5 years old, and the air conditioning unit is in photograph number 4, is what you see. It's supposed to be 5 feet off the line. It was 4 feet 6 inches. Now, previously here, the neighbor, I think is Mr. Dexter. Mr. Dexter was actually signed in and spoke with Mr. Greenhan, and last week they actually physically moved the air conditioning unit as flush to the house as possible. So if you look at photograph number 4, you can almost see the dirt's a little bit darker there because it was actually moved flush to the house. I would ordinarily say I would withdraw that variance because I don't think it's necessary, but I'm not a surveyor, so the fact that it could be a couple inches off, I'm going to formally request that variance today, but again, you can't move it any closer to the house where it is today. And that's my case.
Let the record reflect the fact that there's no one here in opposition.
Thank you. That's my case, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. McKevitt, you and your client who signed in will both receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered.
It's
Second.
Mrs. Green's birthday today, so I said you'll have a birthday you'll never forget. You spent the day at the zoning board, so.
Happy birthday.
Commendable.
Thank you.
Second,
Hopefully,
all in
next year you'll
favor?
get a better place.
Aye. Should have brought a cake. By the way, Mr. McKevitt, is it Mr. McKevitt or Mr. McKevitt?
He knows.
That was in line with the Frankenstein.
Next, we have case 168 of 25.
My high school principal for 4 years told me Kevin.
Kevin?
Because it's like sponsor.
No,
If you call me Kevin, I'll say yes.
Okay.
Next, we have case 168 of 25,
been
Point
called a
Lookout,
lot worse.
Jap Goodsmith and Francie Vanderwals. Variances, lot area occupied, side yards aggregate, rear yard setback, construct second-story addition with deck and stairs, convert garage to living space, all attached dwelling, also known as 66 Mineola Avenue. Ms. Kennedy, we have you sworn in from before, so just your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon this time, not good morning anymore. Jean Kennedy, 124 Haley Drive, Center Richard, New York, 11934. These chairs, I need a cushion, I feel like I'm in a hole. Mr. Hausschmidt and Mrs. Vanderwall of 66 Mineola Avenue, Point Lookout, Section 61, Block A, Lot 1210, in a residential B zone, are requesting variance approval to construct a second-story addition with the deck attached that will be maintaining a rear yard setback of 9.2 from the second-story deck to the property line when a 15-foot is required, creating a 5.18 reduction and an 18.2-foot setback from the second-story addition to the property line when required is 18.75, a reduction in the rear yard by 0.59 feet. The deck and addition will be maintaining a 3.3 side yard when 5 feet is required, a reduction of 1.7 feet, and a 6.8-foot aggregate when 15 feet is required, and a reduction of 8.2. They are also maintaining a 71.9% lot coverage when 27.5% is required.
71.9?
Yes. Okay, back in 2007, permit number 2007-15489 was issued to reconstruct the one-family dwelling to which it is today, and permit number 2007-28216 was issued to construct the lower deck, which extended to the property line.
Ms.
And
Kennedy.
was all granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals.
The zoning board in '07 granted you a 71.9 lot area occupied.
Actually, that's a little bit more percentage. I wanted to show the board, I did a copy of the old building permit that shows what was added to the property back in 2007.
2007.
Let me just go continue on, because I'll explain, it's really nothing is being changed actually on the lot coverage to what I'm here for today. The addition being added to the second-story rear house is
Well,
with...
you're here for lot coverage though.
Yes, but the second story that's being added on is over the footprint of the first story of the house, which was granted, and it was an open-air second-story deck. It is now going to be an enclosure to the house.
I'm more than surprised to imagine that the zoning board intentionally granted a almost 72% lot coverage. Point Lookout has higher lot coverages, but I've never seen anything like that. And at that lot,
I believe the properties to either side of this particular property are covered more than even that.
pardon me?
I believe the houses on either side of this particular property have more lot coverage percentage than what they're asking for, because the house to the south of this house is much larger than this house even is.
Well, when the house is covering that much of the lot, I have to be honest with you, I can only speak for me personally, doubling the height of it when it has a basement and it's covering 72%, and then to put another whole level of 72% coverage seems like an extreme overuse of the property.
We're not putting on an additional 71%. You mean, like, just overall in general on the whole property itself, is what you're saying?
Right, the footprint covers
Yeah.
72% almost, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you want to build another level on top of that?
No,
How
no, no,
much?
no. No, there is already a second story on the existing house. The part that we are enclosing right now is a roof deck, which was on the first floor. It's in the footprint of the first floor. So the second story that we're putting extended out over the deck is originally existing to the footprint of the house, or what was originally granted from the previous variances.
Oh, you want to enclose the roof deck on the whole?
Yes, on the second story.
Which was that? Did the board granted that roof deck?
Yes.
And one of the conditions were that it was not to be enclosed or roofed over?
I'm not really sure what
Generally, that's what... You see the conditions?
Is that one of them?
I couldn't find conditions when I was looking, trying to research the
Read
ordinance.
that or put it on a record?
So the proposed second floor right now, in the plans, shows that it's to be the kitchen, a master bedroom, and a living room, et cetera. Right?
Right. All the bedrooms are down on the first floor.
What's that?
All the bedrooms are down on the first floor, except the master bedroom, of course, the guest bedrooms,
Where's the kitchen now?
up on the second floor.
Next page.
Do you have any photos of the?
It was also granted in the variance, that was a deck, that was the lower deck. If you look at building permit 2007-28216, was issued to construct a lower deck that went to the property line. And that is part of also the 71.9% lot coverage. So while
That
we're,
deck still exists?
yes, and what we're adding on now, basically, the deck that is extending out onto the back of the house that we're going for, which is 9 feet by 29.7 feet, or 267 square feet, is over the existing lower deck that was granted a permit and part of the lot coverage. So everything that is being put on now is within the lot coverage and over pieces of structures that were already granted back in 2007.
They were granted as decks, though.
What?
They were granted as decks?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big difference. I still find 70%, but, okay. So right now, the kitchen is on the second floor,
Yes.
and is there any proposed alterations in the second floor kitchen?
No.
And then I see,
It's making a living room larger and the master bedroom larger.
so all of that is where the current deck is? Does this application include enclosing any lower level deck?
No.
Do you know what percentage of the 71.9 is currently decking?
Actually,
Well, what I do know, the existing rear yard deck represents 684.16.
that's square footage.
Yes.
Do you know what percent that
No, I'm
equates
saying
to?
we would have to divide that into 3,000 lot coverage, 3,000 square feet of property.
What is it?
The house was built back in 1941 and was just a little tiny bungalow. And then in 2007, Mr. Hausschmidt and Vanderwall did this permit for the reconstruction of the home, which added on a second story, the deck, the garage on the side. It almost like doubled what the original house was. It was a little tiny, tiny bungalow. You can see a black and white photos if you go back to the actual original permits back in 1941. There's also an open permit that's from 2020 that is superseded by the permit now that we're filing for the deck.
Ms. Kennedy?
Yes.
So, council to the board had just reviewed the 2007 application, which asked to maintain a deck. And apparently, there was no lot area occupied request in that. It was some other, the printer's not working, but, so lot area occupied was not before the board in 2007. Let me tell her to find it, because the only one she has is maintained the deck.
Yes, there's a separate,
Same here, Becky? No, same here.
Had a little lunch. Had a little lunch. Because we have to do decisions now, so that we can minimize the damage to the lawn. Because one phone call eventually we're going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you.
6, 7.
I just turned it off. Thank you. There's a lot of homes that have built, this is off the record, it's just, a lot of homes that went toward, off their property, put decks and things like that on.
are you looking at the picture, Mr. Pellegrini?
Yeah,
Did you see-
I'm looking
At the aerial, yeah.
Google Earth.
The one right next door actually dug out some of the wetlands, I think, and made a beach even, and where they didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
A lot of those people did
Yes,
that.
right.
I wasn't here that day. They've done fine. Really?
Really?
So, may I continue with a few things?
Yes, go on.
Pointers? Okay, so the side yard and the aggregate side yards remain the same as previously granted. The only additional change is added on the second-story deck with the rear yard setback of the 9.12 to the property line when 15 feet is required. Like I said, the dwelling was built back in 1941 as a little bungalow, and through the years has evolved into a beautiful cozy beach house, which Mr. Hausschmidt and Mrs. Vanderwall have worked very hard to accomplish. They live there part-time. They live part-time and work in Norway. They're scientists, and they come and they spend their summers here with their family, and which is why they would like to change to the house to enjoy it even more than they already do. This basically concludes my hearing. Yes, it does.
Other questions from the board?
Oh, wait, I do have one.
Okay.
Ms. Kennedy,
Yes,
your clients are also looking, what's in the basement of the house?
nothing.
I mean, nothing.
It's just crawl space.
Okay.
And
They're looking to also convert the garage into living space?
yes,
How many cars can they fit in their driveway? Because obviously there's no street parking.
2 cars in the driveway, and they also have another concrete pad on the other side.
Okay. I move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Ms. Kennedy, you'll be notified by mail the board's decision once it's ready.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? That concludes the morning calendar. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then we'll do decisions. Otherwise, we'll be here for days. Once they put the food out, you'll know.
Okay, what do you people want?
What does John want?
John, who knows, he wants a bag of donuts.
Really?
Mark's gonna come back. Mark's gonna come back with a lot.
You have to. You have to come back. Yeah, that's fine with me. It really doesn't matter.
We'll get one pizza, a salad, and whatever else. Oh, yeah, okay, fine. So, I'm gonna look up the menu too. We should keep menus here.
Ask him to bring the menu
Let me see, we might have one in the back. It's easier than looking at the.
I like that. Are you gonna order it? I'll pay for it. It's my turn. You might as well go. Are they gonna do decision? Yeah?
Still bothers me the most here is when people are rewarded doing stuff without permits like that. And then, can you imagine those two poor people, the guy's going to work, comes back one day, how dead they frame people. I agree. And like, those pictures of looking out your window and looking at that monstrosity, I mean, to me, it's just not right.
Jerry Marino?
Yeah.
Jerry Marino was on the board for about, I don't know, a short period of time. And he stood up once and we were in deliberations, and he says, I don't understand you guys. When people build this stuff without permit, and
we're encouraging them to just do whatever the hell they want. You get caught.
All right.
And will a roll, as the red show up? Is that the
Just down.
All right, first case, 149 of 2025, Levittown Chamber of Commerce. That was granted from the bench. Ditto on case 153 of 2025, also granted from the bench. And cases 1308 and 1309 of 2025 in Merrick, also granted from the bench. Cases 150 through 152 of 2025. That case was adjourned to July 2nd at 11 a.m. Cases 154 and 155, Woodmere. Ala Kleben, variance, rear yard, construct second-story addition, partially open below, attached to dwelling, special exception to maintain a shed not permitted in the side yard located at 16 Kearney Drive in Woodmere. Do I have any comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I have a motion of file number 154 of 25, 155 of 25, Woodmere, Ala Kleban, variances, maintained shed, be granted, but with the condition that the partially open part below the dwelling remains open.
Second-story addition, never
Second
enclosed.
story.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Any opposed? That kills the first page. Case 156 of 2025, Franklin Square, Mohammed Mukhtar Ahmad. Variance, side yard, construct addition attached to dwelling, property located 1011 Maple Avenue in Franklin Square. Do I have any comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
If I can make a comment?
Make a comment.
This is the case that we have to amend the caption. It also needs side yard aggregate, and we are unable to amend the caption without collecting an additional fee.
Right.
Because we don't have the authority to waive
Fees.
only town board does. So my suggestion, I did speak to Mr. Gray, my suggestion would be we keep it on reserve until such time we pay the fees, and then we would be able to
Make a decision. All right, we're going to hold it.
Can
All
you
right.
note that? Oh, you'll just note the amend.
correct, and that.
I mean, so on the reserve it shows up.
Case 157 of 2025, Belmore, Robert T. Partee III and Lisa Gomez install a pool and equipment not permitted in the front yard on Prospect Place, maintain a 6-foot-high fence larger than pool installation area, property located 708 Sunrise Avenue. That case has been adjourned to June 4th at 11 a.m. Case number 158 of 2025, boy, without having any request for adjournment, we're killing them on adjournments today. Case 158 of 2025, Levittown, Michael Schlesinger, special exception to construct roof over outdoor kitchen, second accessory structure higher and larger than permitted and exceeding a horizontal mount. Yeah, we're gonna, that case has been adjourned to June 11th at 11 a.m., and Mr. Pellegrini will inspect it prior to that date. Case 159 of 2025, Wantor Barry Frankenstein, also known as Barry Frankenstein. Variances, lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, maintain addition to garage, arch, partial conversion to living space, and rear porch converted to living space. All attached to dwelling. Property is located 3598 Anita Lane in Wantor. Do I have any comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I make a motion on Case 15925, Wantor, Barry Frankenstein, variance lot, area occupied, side yard, aggregate, granted as requested.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next case, 160 of 2025, Merrick, Jody Resnick Torado, and Joseph Torado. That's characterized as a use variance, lot area occupied, rear yard maintained, two-car detached garage with attic used for storage. I think we have some comments and suggestions on that one.
I have a problem with it.
Okay?
I'd like to get it re-inspected for the height, because it looks, and I was explained how they measure it, but it just seems a lot taller than, you know, in the
Talk
picture.
to you in the back on that.
You know.
Yeah, so what do you want to do on that, since you're going to talk to him in the back? Do we hold it?
We hold it for right now.
Let's hold it.
Yeah, let's hold it.
Hold it, all right. Cases 161 and 162 of 2025, Wantor, Mary Madden, special exception to maintain an accessory structure, which is a shed, higher and larger than permitted and exceeding a horizontal maximum on all sides, variances side yard, rear yard. Construct a wood deck partially surrounding the existing pool. I think that's the one that abuts the county land. They want 1 foot, and I think a suggestion was made to cut down the size of the deck so that there is a 4-foot clearance
On the one side,
Then it's gonna line up with the
roofed over,
roofed over.
which is the garage and the roofed over, but we're not gonna make them cut it in the back for the floor because it's abutting county.
Okay. Do we, so we, that is the motion, is that correct? And is there a second on that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Case 165 of 2025, Merrick Michael Binkovich, special exception to maintain accessory structure, that's the gazebo with the pizza oven, higher and larger than permitted and exceeding a horizontal maximum on all sides, property located at 1872 LC Avenue. There was the applicant agreed, or the applicant's representative agreed to a suggestion that if granted, there will not be any enclosure of that gazebo.
Or anything else that may be otherwise open.
Okay. Anybody want to second that motion? Katura,
Oh,
did you not make the motion?
will, yeah.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Where did Joanne? Oh.
Yes.
All right, 166 and 167 of 2025, near Rockville Center. Patrick Grayhan, variance lot area occupied, maintain a 1-story addition attached to dwelling, variance side yard, maintain AC unit attached to dwelling. Any comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I move that we grant that case.
As requested.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Case 168 of 2025.
I'm gonna re-inspect it.
Okay, we're going to hold that case.
Yep, I inspected it
Cat.
yesterday, but I'm gonna look at it again.
Okay. Administrative, anything else on the reserve calendar? What do you got?
You gotta wait for Christine on reserve.
What do you have?
Joe,
Oh, we have 4. Okay. Yeah, we have 4 people. We have 4 members, and excluding Joanne, he's got to go get a car. So we don't need him
gotta
for,
go get what?
we don't need him for decisions, correct? Okay. We're good. All right, so what do you have?
So we finish everything?
Yeah, got everything.
Okay, so, moving along, yeah. And then I'm guessing once you see the reserve. So, yes, on the reserve calendar. Okay, I have an update on 620. I did reach out to the applicant, and they agreed to the owner-occupied condition. So what I actually did is I did a little draft, which basically confirmed what the testimony And exhibits revealed basically that there were tenants there, the tenants were the cause of the problems with the property. They agreed at the hearing, and they agreed subsequent to the hearing to owner occupied. And the conditions are that the premises be owner occupied and that they never enclose the open space.
Do they have to file, well, covenants have to be filed if we grant it. I'd hate to be the lawyer who, I like it, but all these owner occupieds, the lawyers read these things, they don't even read contracts, part of them.
I imagine they don't, because it's violated frequently.
Sure.
Why would, this is a single-family dwelling, why do we want to make it owner occupied, even though they volunteered it?
They agreed to it, so let's do it. And
No CNRs then?
no, I would.
Yes or no?
I would, yes, I would file CNRs.
Okay, so
and-
that'll be an additional condition, CNRs.
Yep. Lawyers should read the damn things, and they should explain it to their client. This is more a catch-all for lawyers. If you don't have CNRs filed, how are they gonna know? Even if you have CNRs filed. Someday I'll tell you about how my contracts read. And I'll tell you who reads them and what percentage of lawyers don't read them. Don't read them. All right.
Franklin Square.
Somebody would like to make a motion to adopt the decision, the draft.
Case number 620 of 2024, Roy Everett.
Atolpo,
Thank you.
Ataholpa.
Variances lot area, apply to construct second-story balcony with dwelling, second story with balcony, two-story addition, both attached to the dwelling. It's located at 740 Willow Street in Franklin Square. I move that this case be granted with the conditions as enumerated by council.
Adopted decision. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, so the next one, all right, so, the next cases, 712 through 714, that was the case, you'll recall, it was that older home, and it appeared as though a variance for the lot size was missed, and the board instructed the applicant to file the non-conforming.
Okay.
Okay, so they did so, however, there was a comment in the portal from the plans examiner stating that he wasn't going to grant it because our grant would supersede, but we were trying to avoid having to renotice, rehear, et cetera. So I spoke to the plans examiner, and they are willing to grant the non-conforming, limited to lot area only. So my suggestion, if the board is inclined to grant it, would be that the board make that a condition, that they still have to follow through with the non-conforming permit with respect to lot area.
And comply with any conditions that come from it.
Correct, but again, since it's 50% over, that was the issue, that he didn't want to grant the non-conforming because it's basically an entirely new
Right.
house for their purposes,
Okay.
but so it would be limited for the
Someone
lot.
switched my chair
Okay.
out.
And
Someone
then
like
also
to
there
make?
is a fence there as well.
That was
I don't
before
think
us?
there was a
Correct.
problem.
Yeah, it was
I don't
414.
remember where we were on that.
Mr. Pellegrini was to inspect.
But then I got crossed out, I did not go.
Well, that means, well, that was a new comment. So I'm assuming that since it was crossed off, you have inspected it, there was no issue.
Can you pull it up on the?
Otherwise-
Let's pull it up on this thing.
Otherwise, I think we'd have a notation. But that's,
Yeah.
Well, we'll pull it up on that thing at least in glance. Just to refresh our recollection.
Help.
We might be taking a while, we probably go on.
Okay.
While we're getting that.
we want to move on while that?
Yep.
Okay. So, no update on 729, as that case was heard today, and it's adjourned now to, I believe, June
I
6th.
I
Yep.
think we're gonna hold everything
Makes
until
sense.
June 6th.
I have no update on 742. I did reach out to the applicant after the last hearing, and they're still working on everything they have to. As per the next page, I do have an update on cases 102 through 103 of 25, Wanta, Lewis, Pabon. you'll remember that was that chain link fence that surrounded the backyard, and it contains a pool.
Mhm.
So the issue was, is a chain link fence an
Climbable.
appropriate, correct, enclosure? So subsequent to our hearing, the applicant inserted those privacy slats,
Oh,
which
okay.
essentially make the,
No foothold.
yeah, the fence unclimbable. It was inspected, those photographs were shown to the plans examiner, and he was okay with that fence with those slats. But my suggestion would be any such condition, mention those slats, that they cannot be removed.
What about the fact that the fence was forward of the dwelling? I don't have an independent recollection about it.
I don't know if that was an issue with anybody. I know that the chain link fence was the issue that we were, the chain link portion of it was what we were asked to look into. February.
Somebody want to make a motion on that case? Or okay, what else?
So, they're still working on the next case.
6 to 9?
Yep.
Okay, you wanna continue to hold it.
Okay. and then-
JP, 120 to 22? Do you have time to take a peek?
Yeah. No, I looked at that yesterday, and I think it's fine the way it is.
Okay, someone like to make a motion?
What about the living fence?
But maintain it at 10 foot high.
Yeah.
I move that case 120, 122, in Mercury Building and Remodeling, side yard variance, side yard to replace 2 air conditioning units, special exception, maintain a shed higher than permitted with less than required setback on Clark Street, maintain a 10-foot high living fence on Clark within the clear side triangle the neighbor's driveway, and 15-foot high living fence. I move that these cases be granted. The air conditioning units are fine, the shed is fine. The owner's driveway it wasn't affected by this. None of them. So I would move that the shrubbery be maintained for 5 years.
For 10.
Yes.
Perfect.
That they maintain it at the existing height.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Couture, you wanted to refer to something on
Yeah,
102,
one second.
103?
I think they also pulled up the property in Roosevelt.
Roseville, yes.
Yeah, I want, let's do that one, and then I want to look at that other one too, because with all the calendars I have, I don't have that one. Where's the first one that she was pulling up?
This is here.
That's 110.
Say that again.
110 St. Francis?
Yeah.
So the 6-foot high fence forward the dwelling. Do we have an issue with it?
No.
There's 6-foot fence.
Well, then we
It looks
can't
like
approve one.
it's chain link and it's see-through. Just maintain it at that.
Well-
It's not a 6-foot fence either.
For the dwelling on Francis and Bennett. Can you look from above?
Bird's eye?
Well done.
Bird's eye. Like
Yeah,
the aerial
just-
view?
Yeah, thanks.
You're good.
Because if there isn't one, we're not going to approve one.
Here.
All right, walk this way. Hold on.
Turns out,
I thought you could,
why? Come on. There it is.
But when all these people in here, I think it's not,
I don't see any 6-foot fence at that house. Do you?
No.
So Christina, there doesn't appear to be a 6-foot fence there.
How old is that picture?
well, see, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll hold it. I'll go back. I'll make sure I inspect it.
You know what, why don't we pull the file so we can at least see?
Yeah.
We'll pull that and revisit it in the afternoon.
That was on,
This is
you're
afternoon.
talking about Roosevelt, right? Joe, the
After the afternoon calendar.
Joe,
After
you're
the
talking
afternoon,
about the
yes.
Roosevelt.
After the afternoon. That's after this.
Which case, 7:29 and 30
Yeah,
PM?
No, 7:12.
7:12.
PM.
Joe's gonna look
Gonna hold until the file.
All right.
Joe's gonna
What
look.
else?
Okay, and you have no notes on your calendar on the vote? Again, the issue that I recall was solely with,
Which case?
case 102 and 103 on page 2.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, was whether or not that chain link fence would be an acceptable pool enclosure, was the climbability. I don't recall anyone taking issue with its location. That's my
put the
recollection.
On 49, on this one.
Yep, we have the
If
file.
we have, okay. All I need to do is look at one thing on it, because I inspected it, I just wanna.
We got it.
So what are we doing on 102, 103? Anybody going to make a motion?
That's the one
Can
I
you put the
also wanna,
privacy-
wait, that's the one I also wanna look up, because.
All right.
I don't remember about that.
Hold for
Can we
cat.
just- Can we just look it up on that?
Well, building department is inspect the fence, did they?
They did, and they confirmed that the privacy slats were there. They took photographs. The the plans examiner reviewed the photographs and was okay with the fence as being not climbable.
But the issue is, I just wanna check,
You're
I don't
concerned
have
about
my
its
note, I don't have that calendar, however, I have all the ones before it, so I just wanna look at the Google thing
Okay.
to see where the, no, I don't have. I just don't know if the inspector also looked. See, it says without, here's that triangle, the neighbor's driveway.
Again, the one issue I recall
Is the climbability.
correct.
Right, but when he made it non-climbable, he also made it not see-through, and by the neighbor's driveway, potentially.
I did. I know this stuff's not gonna hit me until I'm at least in my sixties. There it is.
Take it from the top.
Go down low, big one. It's there. Maybe I should like think about that and go. What's that show where they go before the? Yes, Shark. Stops here. Their property stops here, then that's the reason.
Somewhere it got rejected for, by the neighbor's driveway.
In addition to the 12 million things I have to do between now and then, my son just texts me and says his phone fell at like less than 2 feet and hit the table and doesn't know it won't turn on and nothing's happening. I go, well, how are you texting? He goes, from my hard drive. I'm like, I'm upset. Like, I can't do, I don't. No, this guy right here. I don't even have enough time to do, I don't even have
Do we have this file up here too, Christie?
We don't, we can get it.
I just need to see, I know they reviewed
Since
it
we
for
have a little bit of
climate.
time, do you want me to run down and get it before we close the?
Oh, we can get it.
What else do we have?
That's,
That's it? Anything else?
I'm ready, we can do 75 Freeport. If I can just check that fence. No, 75 Freeport we can do, because I already looked at the fence. Yeah, this one, I'm pretty ready to go. I think.
Franklin Square Munson Fire District had a grant in May 2024
Yep.
to construct. We need to get a permit, and they would like an extension.
Yeah, that one also we're looking at.
And another applicant, construct and maintain.
Do you think we should angle that fence right there? This is Point Lookout. That's the neighbor's car.
Yep.
24.
This is the other one. You're right about Valentine for that one.
They want an extension
Well,
to
it says-
secure a permit.
On that one that you're on, it
Inwood
says,
175 LLC, Inwood 41 LLC.
maintain 6 foot
Construct.
high
It
pool
was
closure for
granted
dwelling less than 10 foot setback on
12/14/2022. They've had 3 extensions of time to secure permits. They would like more time.
Was that Munson?
Munson's here too, yeah. They need an extension. How long you, give them a year?
Yeah.
I bet the others, 9 months, a year?
Yep. Come on, yeah. As long as it's not a safety issue.
No.
Who cares?
It's the same problem I'm having on this one. This is the neighbor's driveway.
What else?
Now, the
Thanks a lot.
cars are coming this way, but this
Anything else?
is a sidewalk. They can back right over.
Eagle Design Association, Lincal. A request to rehearing of
And that one's better than this one. So that one we could grant as it is.
So,
What do you think?
Never know
Brian?
that they want to do it now.
Huh?
It was in 2021,
So if-
grant, so
Right, so what do you say we grant that?
just
Okay, we can do that
do
one.
they
and
have
then we
to
can do seven- we can-
pay additional fees?
We can do
they have to pay
these two.
They paid the fee for reopening.
Oh,
We granted it, Joe,
Yes, sir.
Joanne,
Joanne, Joe.
Joe. That's, now I sound like Alphonse. Joe. John.
So,
So in this case, we granted the relief. They never picked up the permits. They're requesting a rehearing. As long as they pay the fees, they already, okay.
It was not acted
No
on by the
new-
board.
We voted, we approved.
We approved it.
Okay.
We approved it.
Yeah.
I move that we grant that
Rehearing.
rehearing.
Second. All in favor?
Rehearing or an extension of time?
But
Wait a
you said
minute,
it was
wait a
in the,
minute.
That's what the request was for. Do we want to do rehearing or do we want to do sua sponte?
He's paid the fees,
They paid for the
and there's no change in what they're
How old-
requesting.
how old is it?
2021.
21.
Bayview.
Bayview Tavern.
I personally, I'd make him come back.
You want to hear this case again?
Well, the people, there might be new people there and I don't,
Give him a rehearing.
okay, I have two we can do.
He asked for it. Go ahead.
On page 2 of reserve. So the first one is, I will move that as it relates to cases 49 through 51, Point Lookout, Ellen Dibner, multiple requests, the applications for the property at 75 Freeport Avenue, Point Lookout. I move that as it relates to, there are, 49, 53 cases, that case number 1 is granted as requested, case number 2 is granted as requested, and case number 3 is granted in part and denied in part. The 5 and 6 foot fences are granted with the exception of the clear sight triangle at the neighbor's driveway. They need to put in an 8 foot catty corner at the neighbor's driveway.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then
And
the
temporary, correct?
5.
Yes, please.
3
5
months.
years. And the second case, Joanne, do you want to do it or you want me to do it?
Which one is it?
Cases 102 through 103 and 2025. Excuse me, location of property 3106 Valentine's Place in Wantagh, granted as requested.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then I inspected.
Wait.
I have one for administrative review.
All right.
Okay,
Do
so,
you have anything else? You said you inspected others?
No, that's all right. I did
Okay.
good.
Go ahead,
Comments on what we
Christina.
just
we have
heard.
an application for a modification.
Yes?
Okay, okay, on September 4th of '24, the board granted a case, and since that granting, the applicant has substantially redesigned the
property.
And what does he want?
So it's for a modification. Well, so let me continue though.
Go
So
ahead.
this is what was originally approved by the board.
What were the variances?
So the redesign actually lessens the variances, and now it's only side yards aggregate that is necessary, okay? So the initial variances, it was side yards, yes, side yards aggregate, construct dwelling with garage on a larger lot, demolish existing dwellings. So side yards is no longer, so what they're seeking now is a lesser lot area occupied, even though they were under what was required, the maximum, and it no longer needs side yards, it just needs side yards
Aggregate.
So the
So
30,
it's lesser relief than what we granted.
they came before us for 35, it looks like. You're
But it's a red
six-
C, so they're permitted 35.
But it looks like it's now 30, I can't.
It's lesser, yes. It is lesser. Here, you have the other, you have both plans? Here, this is the new design.
Inspector, please have.
35 to 33.
It went down to 30.1. It went from 35, again, under, it's a res C, did not need lot area. It went from 35 to 30.01.
The lot is 15,000 square feet.
The lot is,
Says it's 15,000.
the,
When there was a maintain on a larger lot, was there a corresponding maintain on a lesser lot?
no, because they acquired a second lot. So now they're maintaining a dwelling on the two lots.
But there was nothing on that other lot, I guess.
I don't know, that wasn't in front of us. It was just the maintained dwelling on a larger lot.
Well, I'm fine with it
100
since
by
they're-
150, so it's, yeah, you're right, it's a 15,000 square foot lot.
Wow.
Large
Well,
parcel.
I'm fine with it, it's lesser,
Can I see
fewer
that one?
variances and otherwise,
What did they do? They reconfigured the whole thing.
Correct.
I'm fine with,
It's lesser relief than what was granted.
Yeah, but it's all reconfigured.
yes, that's what she said.
Correct, and it's lesser relief, it's no more, no issues with the neighboring properties anymore with respect to the individual side yard. Nobody came out in opposition as far as I can recall. as well.
Basement entrance or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of, but it's a new construct, so we would have that prohibition anyway. That would be a condition, no exterior southern entrance. And it's also in a flood zone, so
Except this is show the new one.
it's in East Atlantic Beach, I would presume that it's in a
Yeah, I saw
flood
something
zone,
about 30
so you can't
feet
have a
from the
basement
edge.
anyway.
Okay, sounds good to me.
No, it's substantially different.
But the building department reviewed it, right?
The building department reviewed it, the only thing that this dwelling was, the new dwelling was
Okay, as it relates to case 447 of 2024, the application of Pues residents at 117 Bay Street in East Atlantic Beach, I move that we modify the prior grant to exclude several variances that were then needed but are not now needed, and that we grant it with the sole variance of side yard aggregate as portrayed on the new set of plans and reviewed by the building department.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to close the morning session.
Second.